Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk here with my guy Ace, Q, and Tony. And I'm feeling good, guys. I'm here almost 24 hours. Before we get this thing started, I think Q has a message. Q.
Yeah, man. We've been making fun of Tony. I think it's time that, he really is the only team that won rightfully. So put him in the top left corner. Yeah, there we go.
Easy
the rightful spot. Tony, do you have any words real quick while you're up there?
Yeah, it feels good. It's good to be the king, and I'm glad to be on top. Congratulations, by the way, Sonny. It was a nice comeback win, but yeah, feels good.
Hold on, wait. I'm looking at the division standings. Get your ass back in last place. You're still getting about right.
Listen, no. I'm on
right
top
there.
today.
You're still in last place. You're still below 500. There we go. Nope. There we go. All right. It could have let him win that much. All right.
Just a little bit.
You know what? Yeah. You can keep it like that. All right, cool.
It's a few weeks away. What's that? Halloween? Is it Halloween day? Then the Browns play the Steelers.
Ooh, can't wait.
Would hate to see the Browns have a 2-touchdown lead at halftime. Would hate to see that happen.
We only do that versus the AFC West. That ain't applicable for you.
So, guys, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for coming here. Make sure you hit that like. Remember, super chats are available. If you want to derail the show, if you want to have a comment, any questions for you to answer. Let's go. I'm probably gonna start this like chronological.
By the way, Sonny looks like purple Eazy-E right now.
you know. But we talk about the Ravens later. I want to see the first game of the evening on Sunday for the AFC North Talk was Ace. Tell me what happened to the Bengals. I watched this whole game, by the way, because it was the game that I had on TV, so I didn't have to go back and watch it later. I watched it live with all you guys. I had Ace on the background too. Shout out to Bengals fans. He had to go watch the stream for Ace and Q for respectable teams. But hey, Ace, what happened, man? What happened?
Man, this one hurt, right? Because, and I don't want to come out here and sound like negative or anything like that, but this was just a game coming in that we talked about going into this. This is going to be a benchmark to show where the Bengals actually are, if they're legit or not, right? They had a 3-1 record coming into this game. This was against Aaron Rodgers. You got him in your house. You got some breaks where you didn't have Zadarius Smith and you didn't have Jair Alexander. And so this was a game where you wanted to come out and really try to match the intensity of Aaron Rodgers and see if you could come out of this game with a win. And, when the game first started, I will say this, like, for it to start off with Cheeto, who I thought was going to be a big impact player in this game, getting a pick, it was super exciting, right? To come out and get a turnover like that just seemed like it was just going to give this team an advantage early. But the issues that have plagued the Bengals in some of these games, you talk about the Bears game, you talk about the Jacksonville game, they still are getting off to these slow starts. And so offensively, they come out extremely flat. And once again, the defense prevails. And the defense, honestly, to be honest, I was the most impressed with the actual defense that they were able to play, especially Cheeto and Devontae Adams. And they were able to keep the Packers at bay, right? And then they finally get on the board, I believe, our third drive. And then they get up on this Packers team. And then they allow the Packers to get back into the game because, once again, they're inconsistent on offense. And then they come out in the second half. Before the second half, they get a bomb to Chase, right? And I'm just like, wow, Chase is finally going off. But at that point, the offense has been somewhat streaky, I would probably say, right? So they have one good offensive drive, then they get the bomb to Chase right before the half. And then I'm like, all right, cool. We're in distance to take this lead coming out of halftime. And the first thing that happens when we come out of halftime is Joe Burrow makes some solid passes. We start to make some progression. And then he forces a pass to Auden Tate that ends up being an interception. Honestly, to me, that just was one that he should have thrown out of bounds. And I think we've seen this at some points this season with Joe Burrow, where sometimes he's just trying to force plays instead of letting the defense or taking whatever the defense is going to give him. And that one was extremely huge in that game, just given that you're going to give this back to Aaron Rodgers. So I think Joe Burrow, as far as his decision-making, he's got to be better there. But regardless of that, the Bengals are still in this game because the defense is pretty much holding their own. And so then we get to the point where we get to the end quarters of the game, and the Bengals start to catch fire again, and they end up getting into a position where they can actually win the game, right? And this is where Bengals fans are really questioning Zach Taylor and the staff, and even myself. When the opportunity presented itself, you thought once Aaron Rodgers got that ball and you were able to get the ball back to your offense with Joe Burrow, your plan is to go down, kick a field goal, and win the game, right? But the interesting thing about this was that with the Packers having all of their timeouts going, the Bengals were, I want to say it was a 57-yard field goal. And Zach Taylor was willing to do that, and I understand that because that's why you drafted Evan McPherson. But my main thought process was, if you miss this field goal, you're giving it right back to Aaron Rodgers with excellent field position. And so I kind of question that because it's like, yeah, I know that this is Evan McPherson, but this is also Aaron Rodgers. Like, you don't want to aid him with him not having any timeouts and there only being 26 seconds. He can make one or two passes and end up in field goal range. And that's what happened. Evan McPherson misses the field goal. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have an opportunity to come down and kick a field goal with Mason Crosby. So at that point, as a Bengals fan, you're thinking like, man, we just really choked this game away. And then Mason Crosby just starts having a missed field goal fest out of nowhere. So he misses it. We go into overtime. The Bengals win the coin toss, and they elect to receive. And this is another important part in the game because as soon as the Bengals get it, Joe Burrow has another bad interception. Not only
that was worst.
That interception was in our territory, and it really reminded me of the Roquan Smith interception. And there just wasn't any excuse for that, in my opinion, to do that. I know that he was looking for Boyd.
Who was he trying?
Boyd.
He was throwing for Tyler Boyd, and that was the same thing that kind of happened with the Roquan Smith interception. But you know, that part of it that sucked, right? And so then, luckily, the Bengals defense somehow finds a way to hold the Packers out of score range, and then I believe Crosby misses another field goal, so they get another opportunity, right? And they get down and they drive, and you know, between all of this happening, there were certain things that happened that were not just Burrow's fault or not just Zach's fault. You know, T. Higgins drops, you know, fourth down catches that would have continued or would have moved the chains. But essentially, they do get another drive where they come down and they get back into territory, into field goal range, right? And, you know, I'm not a guy that's going to complain about ref stuff. We can talk about all of that. I really felt like, because a lot of people are talking about the decision for Zach to kick it on 4th and 1, right? I really feel like the down before that on the 3rd and 2, I really felt like Joe Mixon got the first down, but they didn't give it to him. And so Zach decided and elected to kick a 49-yard field goal with Evan McPherson, which I understood why he did that, because there were times earlier in the game where the Bengals went for it on the 3rd and 1 and some of those early drives that stalled out, the 3 and outs and stuff, where they didn't get it. And so I understood where he was coming from with his logic. Like, I've got Aaron Rodgers. They luckily have missed 2 field goals. I still have a chance to put this game away. Let me trust my kicker that has already won us 2 games this season in that position. I understand that. Now, there's some people saying they felt like he should have trusted Joe Burrow with that. But you have to remember that the drive before that, that's when Burrow threw the interception. So you don't know how Green Bay is actually playing this actual play, whatever it is. And they had to know that it was going to Chase, because Chase was killing that entire game. And so I respect that decision, but obviously they miss it. Aaron Rodgers is able to essentially get himself into the same position, literally like the same position, just in the opposite position, with the 4th and inches. And even with Aaron Rodgers and with Mason Crosby missing 3 field goals, not just 1 or 2, they still end up kicking a 49-yard field goal, the same actual distance, and winning the game. But the thing that I will say is I'm proud as hell of this team. Like, yes, we lost that game. I'm not taking a moral victory because I'm mad as hell because I wanted to win that game. But they did show me a lot, but we lost as a team. It's not just on one person. It's not on Zach Taylor. It's not on Joe Burrow. It's a collective effort, and they've got to learn how to win these games. But I'm not down on this team because they just showed that they could go toe-to-toe with a team like the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, and Jamar Chase is looking like a bona fide superstar right now. Joe Burrow, even though he had some interceptions in that game, he stood tall at moments in that game. They've obviously got to get the offense going, but I think once the offense gets going, the sky is the limit for this team. So I'm not sure if this was a humbling win, right? Because if you're in this game competitively and you felt like, this game could have easily ended it in a tie, or you get respect from Packers fans, or you get respect from Aaron Rodgers and guys after the game saying these aren't the same Bengals, that's cool. But at the end of the day, you want dubs, and we took the L, and we've got to bounce back next week.
Okay, so let me go through some super chats we have here real quick. Professor Kia says this week was probably the worst week for kickers, right, Q?
Oh, yeah, Q is going to kill this one.
Yeah, I got something to say about them kickers.
Boswell looked good. Boswell looked good out there.
Okay, nobody's talking about the Pittsburgh one. The Fox.
He's a kicker too. Steeler kickers are kickers too, dog.
Lamar stats: 29 completion for under 9 yards thrown, 6 completion between 10 and 20 yards, 2 completion 20 plus, 3 touchdowns under 9 yards, and linebacker chasing a wideout. Corners, no pressure. Like could put those numbers up. Okay, shout out to the donation.
So we're talking about like completed air yards and intended air yards and stuff. I actually haven't seen Lamar's NFL.
These are completed air yards, not
completed
like,
air yards. All right, I'll look up his completed air yards.
Oh my god! Every time Lamar has a good game, people go out of their way to try to.
Lamar was really good. Yeah, I don't know. Like you can criticize a lot about the Ravens yesterday. I don't know that you can criticize Lamar or say like Lamar did like.
Especially Lamar in the passing game.
Yeah. I mean, like the throws. I mean, the Colts are a bad secondary, so yes. I mean, the throws were not like this. Wasn't the hardest throws of all time. But he made every single throw he needed to make. I mean, the second half of that game was just every time the Ravens got the ball, it was a foregone conclusion they were going to score.
Dog, they called him a running back, and he threw for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yeah. How are you hating on that? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like at some point. You gotta just like let it go, man. Dude had a great game. He did it in 43 passing attempts too. Like that's mad impressive.
Okay, his completed air yards. Okay, Lamar's completed air yards was 6, which is not bad. I think that's about league average. But it is down from the worst he's had all year. So there's that.
I think the last drive he took a lot of underneath, but we'll talk about that later. Joshua Mader says you win.
He had over 500 total yards.
Over 500 yards.
Come on, man. Come on. That is like the entire Browns offensive output in that game against the Chargers. Because each team put up like 500 yards in that game, and they scored 42 points, and the Chargers scored like 47. No, come on, man. Come on, man.
So Joshua Mader here says, you win. No, you win. No, ISIS, you win. No, please, you can take the win. Recap of Bengals Packers. Not wrong. Alexia Tyrone said Fat Randy is laughing.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
The Fat Randy revenge game.
Joshua Abrams says, what is Ravens getting out of Darquez Bernard, Sonny? I mean, if he's in this team, he's probably in a practice squad in a deep hole, and he's not playing because I haven't seen him at all. I didn't even know that we picked him up, to be fair.
Is that Darquez Denard?
Darquez Denard is who you guys are talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know former
Bengal?
Yeah, former Bengal. I didn't know we had him.
He's solid.
People were high on him coming out of Michigan.
Yeah. People were very high on him. The Steelers general manager or front office was high on him, yeah.
Mark Concierge says Lamar Jackson is in the MVP conversation. I will say for sure his turnover puts him second to Josh Allen, in my opinion. Okay. I think that's a reasonable take.
Yep.
Taz says the Ravens have the best QB wide receiver TE or tight end trio in the North.
It's definitely performing the best right now.
It's not. Yeah. It's not close when you throw the tight end in there. It just becomes not close. Yeah.
Mark. Well, we'll talk about the Ravens later. Browns running on 3rd and 9 shows that Baker is not a franchise QB. The Browns coaching staff don't trust him to win.
Oh, I can tell that conversation is gonna be a fun one. Be a good one. That'll be hour 2 through 3 on the show. In case you're wondering, today we're in for a 5-hour show tonight.
This is how we gonna start it.
But Q, I'll let you in. What do you think of this Bengals Packers game?
Yeah, man. Look, don't trust these kickers. I've been trying to tell y'all, don't trust these kickers. Why? When we think about this, right? It's ridiculous what we do with kickers. They are not paid high. They are generally thought of as disposable. I mean, like there might be 3 kickers that are thought of as non-disposable. Mason Crosby's supposed to be one of them. The other one, I don't even qualify as a kicker because he's so much better than everybody else, right? So every other kicker is disposable. But we leave the game in the hands voluntarily to these disposable ass players so much because coaches are so damn scared of turnovers. By the way, as a prelude to what I'm about to cut on Kevin Stefanski and the play calling on Sunday. But it is ridiculous to me. I hate when I see it, when a team has an opportunity to go for the end zone. We're going to kick this field goal. We're going to run it down. We're going to run a draw play like Indy did. We're going to run a draw play to get 2 extra yards, call a timeout, and then bring the damn kicker out so he can miss it because he has a hurt leg. Like, it doesn't make any sense that we have this much trust in kickers. This is why I try to tell y'all, don't trust these kickers because it only leads to heartbreak about 85% of the time. But nope, we had in this game teams that wanted to trust the kicker. And what happened? Overtime, and then the damn kicker went 1 for 4. People were actually trying to come up here doing victory laps. Oh, you don't trust kickers after Mason Crosby hit 1 for 4 at the end of the game? Like, really? Really, dog? Like, that's a victory lap to you? All right. But kicker nonsense out the way, right? You know what I mean? In general, you just don't want to leave the game up to a kicker if it's possible not to, right? That's just my point with kickers. They're the last possible resort. Even if you're on the 2-yard line, just score the damn touchdown, win the game on the field. Don't leave it up to a kicker because they're unreliable, generally speaking. But when it comes to this game, I was pretty impressed with what I saw out of what Cincinnati's defense for the most part of this game. I thought there were moments where I was like, okay, it looked like Aaron Rodgers had turned it on, right? When he started getting that connection to Devontae Adams, I was like, okay, this is going to be barbecue chicken. This game's going to be over. But then the Bengals battled back, got that long touchdown to Jamar Chase. And as somebody who was critical of the Jamar Chase pick, I have to say, he looks like the best wide receiver by far in this class, right? Like, you know, maybe the only pick you could say that might have been better for the Bengals, and it's arguable, but not really, is Rashad Slater at this point, who shout out to Vach. He was one of the few people out here saying that you should go Rashad Slater instead of Panay. But yeah, it was a fun battling game. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't get to see overtime because this game bled into the Browns game. So I wasn't able to see what happened in overtime. I know Joe Burrow threw another interception.
Yeah, just imagine what happened at the end of the fourth quarter, but worse. That's how that was bad.
I mean,
it was essentially kind of like a mix of when Joe Burrow threw that pick to like Roquan, except they didn't score a touchdown, and then the dude just turned around and missed the field goal.
And then just field goal, miss.
They even had the doink and everything. And then on the last one we took, Evan McPherson thought he made it. So that was like the worst part about it. And like on the TV angle, it was like, dog, you clearly missed that.
Yeah, it touched the flag.
The flag.
He hit the flag.
Oh, he jumped. He jumped into the holder's arms like he had just made the game winner.
He even tricked some of his teammates, like CJ Uzomah and Kevin Huber. Thought for a second he hit it as well.
Hey, you know what CJ Uzomah and Kevin Huber learned in that moment?
Don't trust the kicker.
Don't trust the damn kicker. Why did I trust the kicker was right with his summation of if he made this field goal?
It was crazy though, because it was like he missed it slightly off to the upper left, but it hit like the little flag that's at like the top of the field goal post.
And they've changed that. I forget when they changed it, but when the ball goes over the upright like that, you can actually challenge it. Because sometimes the officials will get that wrong when it goes over the upright.
They didn't go over.
No, it didn't go over. No, at first I thought maybe it went over. I'm like, are they celebrating because it went over and it actually went in? But no, it hit the flag. It was very clearly out.
Yeah, it sounds all pretty awful. There,
it was bad. It was bad. You didn't miss much. I mean, this to me, like this.
I remember looking at my phone and being like, "This game's still going."
No, Quincy missed everything because he would have been loving that during that time with all those kickers missing back to back.
And then made,
Electric Tyrone Boswell makes me sick. I keep waiting for him to choke, but he keeps on making kicks. Respect. Then 2 years ago, he was like on a missing kick streak or something like that.
He had a groin injury late in the season. Yeah, and he just went on
this kicker stuff is cyclical. It's cyclical. It's like wide receiver drops. 2 years ago, Twitter was all over Blankenship, right? Now you're dropping them for your fantasy team. It is cyclical. There's like 1 or 2 dudes that are not cyclical in this thing, but everybody else is rotational, baby. They're going to make some, they're going to miss some, you're going to cut some, you're going to sign some, but it's cyclical, and that's why you shouldn't draft kickers. But you know
what I mean?
Wide receiver
drops are cyclical now? Okay. I'm gonna know.
Yeah, it just happens. Okay. I mean, we have sufficient evidence with the start of this season with Hollywood Brown and Jamar Chase that these drops
and another guy. We're not gonna knock.
And David Njoku?
No, good.
No,
we're not talking about.
We're not talking
about Jamar Chase or Deontay Johnson.
Nope. We're good.
We don't want to recognize Steelers receivers. You don't want to say. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Voldemort. He who shall not be named.
Overall, I thought this was a better showing for Cincinnati than I thought they were going to give coming into this game. I didn't expect this game to go into overtime. Joe Burrow, he's starting to pile up some interceptions here. It's something to keep an eye on. I think some of that is just because the sheer volume he's asked to kind of control this game and that offense, it's just going to lead to a ton of interceptions there. But, it's something to keep an eye on there if those interceptions keep coming, because he was somebody who had like a 200 snap streak without interceptions or something crazy like that. And now he hasn't gone a game without an interception since Jacksonville? Well, no, just since Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Yeah,
so it's 2 games in a row he's had an interception. Well, no, that's not even 2 games.
No, 1 game.
Just this one.
Yeah, but he's had an interception, multiple interceptions, 2 games this year, which is something to know. But it's the Jacksonville thing because the date threw me off because I forgot it was a Thursday game. But overall with the Bengals, my impression while watching them is, hey, the Bengals are going to be good this year. Like I know that we've done a lot of joking about them, but I think they're going to be, 500, might even be above 500 at the very least. And they're going to be a team that, as Ace said during the offseason, we ain't going to be no easy sweep. We ain't going to be no easy beat this year. So, no, they're definitely not a team that you can take a break on and think you can beat. They're definitely going to be one tough-ass team to play.
Yeah.
Before I go to Tony here, says, as a Steeler fan for AJNM, thank you for the donation. As a Steeler fan, I hate the idea that Baltimore will the North.
We'll win the North.
We'll win, I think.
Gotcha.
It's a long season.
Yeah, still early. Hey, Tony, I have been. Wait, what? Hey, Tony, has some trouble with.
I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I've been having trouble with somebody. Do you have anything for someone
like me?
Okay.
Don't know.
Add us and try to clarify that one.
Yeah.
I can't really get
need
to
a clarifying comment on that one.
Totally different game with Joe Mixon healthy. Zion Thompson, thank you for donation. And then
okay. Can we talk about that real quick before we go? Because I did think that there was like a knock-on effect that because Mixon played, that meant Chris Evans got way less snaps in this game. And when you look at Joe Burrow and his throw chart in this game, like you could mistake that for a Ben Roethlisberger game. He just didn't. I mean, all he did was throw the ball down the sideline and then dink and dunk. And I thought that in that way, a guy like Evans out of the backfield would have been a real asset to them with the game plan that they had coming in. And I thought that was a knock-on effect of like Mixon was a good runner, but I think Evans would have been better out of the backfield as a receiver.
They would have gotten him more opportunities. Like you said, when they had to split it between 3 guys, it just didn't leave much left for him.
I'm still not sure why is he behind P-Ron?
Well, P-Ron, so the thing with P-Ron is last year P-Ron came in and was pretty good. Like he had a Texans game. He had I think a Dolphins game. He did pretty well. So he kind of earned an extension last year. And then him and Joe, they go all the way back to Oklahoma. So this staff, based off of what P-Ron did last year, they have a lot of confidence in him, and they gave him an extension this season. So honestly, it's kind of weird because you can use P-Ron in the passing game, but it's like Chris Evans is just so much better in that role. But pass blocking may also be a factor. But Ron is not really good at pass blocking either because he was responsible for one of those sacks.
It's always with those young guys like that. It's always like knowing your blitz assignments, right? You know, blitz pickup, understanding certain reads on certain plays, and young guys just can't pick that up quick enough to get on the field.
Billy Women here says, "I'm just here to hear Q talk about kickers." Now, Tony, take us to
the ultimate irony in this whole kicker conversation is that the Browns game had a kicker who smoked like multiple extra points in there, and whoever the Chargers kicker is, and still couldn't take advantage of it.
Shout out to you, Professor Chaos. Okay, so now I
got it. He wants us to talk about Manscaped. Well, don't worry, Manscaped is coming. We got a couple more things here to talk about, and then promo code AFC North Talk, Manscaped.com. You'll hear about it here in a minute.
Tony, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, we got to talk about. Look, I would compare this to a movie that's so bad it's good. That's what the Packers and Bengals played on Sunday. It was a football game that was so badly played that it was actually enjoyable to watch at the end because, like, this was a fun football game for 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter of this game, just chaos broke out in just missed field goal. The final drives of this game, like for someone like Quincy who missed the end of it, this is the final drive chart. Okay, at the end of this game. Missed field goal, interception, missed field goal. Then finally we get the 49-yard game winner. It was hysterical.
I was
hysterical. Shocked. Now, look, I know that, you know, Bengals fans are saying, hey, let's not throw this all on Zach Taylor because they did draft a kicker and, you drafted him to make even the long field goals like that, 57. Here's where I push back on that a little bit. 57-yard field goals, while yes, kickers are getting more and more accurate, and a 57-yard field goal is not what it was 5 or 10 years ago. He didn't settle for a 57-yard field goal. Okay, they ran the ball on third down when it was where if they get no yards in that play, it's a 60-yard field goal. Okay, so there's no guarantee they were actually going to get yards when they ran the ball there. They could have got stopped for no yards. They could have lost yards in that play very easily when you're running the football. They had a 60-yard field goal right there. I mean, do they kick it? If he makes no yards, do they kick it at 60? At that point, like, what are we doing here?
Well, they're playing afraid, right? They're playing that they're going to leave too much time to Aaron Rodgers.
And this is the problem I have with Zach Taylor. And it's not just a Zach Taylor problem. You see a lot. The Colts did this on Monday night, right? Which is when you are the inferior team and you are playing a team that, you're going to have to do things outside of your structure to beat. You can't play like this. You can't play scared. You have to take chances. Yes, you have to come out of your shell at times. There were multiple opportunities in this game. You talked about the 4th and 1 to go for it. Yes, maybe in a normal game when this team's playing, like the Lions next week, right? A team where I think we're all going to say they have a much better chance of winning that game than they would have against the Packers. Then fine, you want to kick a field goal on 4th and 1. That's fine. But in this game, I think you have to be aggressive because that's how you beat an Aaron Rodgers, right? That's how you beat the best teams. I think defensively for the Bengals, what was impressive in this game is while the Packers had a bunch of success moving the football, they didn't put the ball in the end zone, especially in that second half. They held this Packers team to field goals late, and that's what you have to do. These great quarterbacks like this, you're very rarely going to hold them down to sub 300-yard performances or sub 200-yard performances. But you got to stop them in the red zone. You got to have them kick field goals and not score touchdowns. And I thought that was a big part of what the Bengals did. But yeah, I think the decision making at the end of this game from Zach Taylor to settle for these field goals. Look, there's one thing to settle for field goals. It's another thing to settle for 50 plus. And he settled for 2 50+ yard field goals in this game. That was my issue. Or actually, no, it was a 57 and a 49, right?
57 and a 49.
And a 49, yeah. So they were basically, in that area. You look at what Mason Crosby missed. I mean, I will say this. I think the right team won. Mason Crosby missed a 36-yard field goal and a 40-yard field goal. Okay. We just talk about percentages, just raw percentages of what field goals you should make. The fact that he missed a 36 and a 40, oh my goodness. I mean, what's happening there? That is well out of the realm possibility because you look at field goal percentages, I believe those 40, anything between 30 and 40 is like 90% accuracy right now with your average kicker. Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, not in week 6 of the National Football League, but generally speaking around the or week 5, getting ahead of myself. But generally speaking, it's a very accurate kick. So I think the right team won here, but I like everyone said, for Bengals fans with where this organization is right now, kind of in their growth and development, I think being in this game is something, yes. I mean, we're not playing horseshoes here, right? You got to win the football game. It's not about getting close, but for a team like the Bengals, I do think that there's some sort of moral victory here of like, hey, we can hang with anybody. We're not an easy out anymore. No one's coming in here and like, oh, it's an easy, just chalk it up as a W. Like the Bengals are going to be frisky no matter who they play.
Okay. Jeffrey Brown is here. He says, Q, Is the Scottish Hammer in danger? I don't know.
He's in danger. He's been awful all year. Those punts are terrible. And then what drove me crazy, and I'm just going to touch on some of this stuff, so I'm not talking for everyone. The Browns get there, but there was on that 3rd and 9 after the draw play, they did that so he can punt, and he got that ball like maybe 30, 40 yards down the field. Like it was. Your punter has sucked all year. Why would you do that play call thinking, we're going to get these extra yards from this punt? I hate playing for special teams. I hate trying to outsmart people. I hate trying to do that, especially when your punter has played like absolute garbage for the start of the year. Like fumbled a snap to start the year, and it's really not gotten better since then. So yeah, he's in trouble because he's a punter and he's not punting well, and they'll find somebody else who can punt better than that.
Yeah. I will say this. Look, something that Tony said was the Bengals are not an easy push, right? They show that they're not an easy out. Well, I said that a couple weeks ago, right? I bought into the Bengals. I actually told Ace, like, I was not going to be surprised if they won. I said to Ace, I thought they should win, right? This is pre the game, because I said, you're taking a Packers team that is hobbling to your field, and you're coming out of a mini bye, right, from a Thursday night. Packers play, I think it was Sunday night or something like that. So you stay at your home, short week for them. You have a long week. They're coming injured. Their best players on defense are injured. You're supposed to be a more power offense. Even if Mixon was a little banged up, your offense should be powerful enough against this defense. So I will say this. I know we're trying to I'm trying to put the standard that you, the Bengals fan, gave me, right? And because of the offensive power you guys told me, and again, I said this last week, and I bought into the Bengals narrative, and I still believe that they're a good team, right? I said the Bengals are going to be a good team. But this is a game that you should have had, right? You should have had it. And I understand what Tony said, like, well, the Packers missed a couple field goals. And by the way, we talk about Zach Taylor here all the time. Mike LaFleur, in my opinion, is a worse coach. We talk about Zach Taylor. Mike LaFleur, I understand why Aaron Rodgers wants to leave. I definitely understand that. Also,
where do you think he wants to go?
Denver. So saying that, the kicker situation, look, I start saying, I agree here with Tony. Both coaches, for some reason, were scared to give it to the other team, right? They both play like that. When the pick happened on Joe Burrow, that was a horrible interception. It was because I asked just Ace, like, who did he throw it to? Because I remember watching in live, like, was there,
like right to the linebacker.
He thought Boyd was going to cross the face of the linebacker, and Boyd didn't move at all.
Yeah, it was straight to him. So after that, I'm thinking, okay, Packers, I understand Crosby's there. It's a short field goal, but come on, you push as much as you can, right? And then if you cannot get it, whatever, it's overtime, right? It's not like you're going to be afraid. At that point, if you kick a 3, it's over. So why? The Packers were like, we're happy to be here. Let's kick the field goal right now, right? That's exactly how the Packers played that series. Obviously, they missed. The Bengals push a little bit more, but I agree here with Tony again. You're still in a long field goal. And your kicker, he has a good leg. Like
he has a good leg. That's what
I'm saying. He got a good leg.
Yeah.
Like even the 57-yarder, that bad boy, if it was center, that could have been 60s plus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he's still, like, there's kickers that have strong legs, and, you know, as you get further out, they can get it. They can drive it down, but they cannot get into the uprights. And that could be the case for him. I mean, he's still young. I'm not saying that he's a boss or anything. He's still young.
He was super accurate. He hit the flag.
Yeah, yeah, that's hard to do. But my point here is, because I don't want to derail this and put it too deep. This week or last week, I said, this week coming up, meaning week 5, it was an opportunity for 3 teams in this division. 3 teams had the opportunity that everything was aligning for them. Well, the Bengals was one of those teams and they lost. Another team squeezed by a victory, and another team never in doubt. Obviously, you know who never in doubt. But we don't want to talk about that now. Anyway, and then there was a team that legitimately had a very, very hard task, and we'll talk about them too. I thought the Bengals, everything lined up for them to take that W. They came out short. I'm not saying that they play bad. I'm just saying they had the everything was aligning for them to win the game, and they just came a little bit short. Ace, you want to say something before we go?
Yeah, the one last thing I'll say is, as far as like Evan McPherson, the main reason that Zach Taylor trusted him in that situation, he hit a 57-yarder in the preseason. This is something that they've been, working with him, and that's something that he's known for is his field goal strength, right? He was 5 of 7 at Florida with 50-yard field goals, 9 of 13 for 49-yard field goals. So he's a guy that is known for his leg. And so I think like if we would have had Randy Bullock in that situation, I don't think Zach would have trusted him. I think he would have been more aggressive, but he's thinking that this is a guy. And if you've just been watching Bengals social media, they've been calling him the next Justin Tucker, Legatron, and all of this stuff. So that is why I feel like they were as confident with this guy, because when they drafted him, it was a lot of people actually were like, why are you going to draft a kicker in the 5th round? And Taylor said that, talking to Darren Simmons, they felt like this is a guy that's going to win us games. And so I feel like that was really primarily the reason why they attempted it, because 57 yards for like a normal kicker, they're probably thinking like, no, we're not going to do that. But they likely thought that Evan McPherson, since he had did it before, was hitting them from like 60 in practice. They thought that he had a chance to win.
But my problem was not pushing a little bit more, right? Not that he took the kick. My problem was when the play call before should have been like, let me try to get more yards, and if he missed it, it's okay. We can kick it from here. It was more like, okay, we're in his range. We're happy to be here. Let's just do it.
Well, on that, you have to go back to what happened, because originally I think Joe Burrow ran and got the first down, right? Then there was a holding penalty that backs them up. And then what Zach Taylor tries to do is they try to get Green Bay to jump off sides, and they don't jump off sides, and then they just ultimately are stuck with having to kick the field goal. So,
I think this goes to like Quincy's point, right? Which is the idea of, you can't trust kickers. I think what you want to do is you want to get a kicker where you like once you have a kicker that you like, I think you just have to treat that kicker, because no kicker is Justin Tucker, right? I mean, everybody wants to treat their good kicker like, well, we got the next JT. No, you don't. Once you have a kicker you like, you just got to treat them like they're an average kicker. And I think from that point, it becomes a lot like these 4th down situations where it just becomes a game of blackjack, right? You just play the book, right? You just whatever the book says to do here, we do it, right? If it's 80% from this range, then our kicker is probably going to be 80% from that range. That's the whole and I think there was a great Reddit post about this maybe like a year or two ago. It was titled like kicking accuracy by distance, but not only did it go over like the percentages of like every yardage, which this guy is insane for putting that together, but he also at the bottom did like an expected points by kicker, and it showed how much better Justin Tucker is from every other kicker in the league, right? Like Justin Tucker is legitimately a game changer at the kicker position. Everyone else, even if you think, we have a good kicker, like Chris Boswell, Steelers fans think Chris Boswell is this great kicker. Chris Boswell over the course of his career has basically kicked as a percentage of what he should be making, considering the league averages, just above league average. I mean, just above league average. I think that's what you have to do when you treat your kickers like this. It's like, we believe in him, but at the end of the day, a 57-yard field goal is what? Like you have a 65% chance of making that. But if I go ahead 10 yards, it goes to 85% or whatever the numbers are, right? And I think you just have to go by those numbers. What are the chances I can get 10 yards here? And that 10 yards equals 20% higher chance of making a game-winning kick.
Okay.
Yeah, and real quick, Ace, I heard that description of why Zach Taylor thought it would be a good idea to that. And I just hope Zach Taylor is real careful with where he shares his emails and his passwords, because if you can hack that, boy, Zach Taylor is a sucker, because you just thought you drafted Justin Tucker. Like, oh, man, we got this. He be looking like Justin Tucker in practice. What? Somebody gonna get his social security information. That man, what? No, it's never how that works. It's how I know when there's suckers on Twitter when they tweet after like 2 made field goals from another kicker. Oh, he looks like Justin Tucker. You are real easy to scam, sir, because you out here just believing anybody could be Justin Tucker. No, there's one, and you didn't even draft them. They just ended up with him because they don't know how to scout kickers. Nobody knows how can you scout a kicker? Really? How can you do it? It's just pure luck, honestly. So thinking you about to draft the next Justin Tucker.
Ooh, did they draft Justin? Was Justin Tucker drafted?
No, he was undrafted.
That was the Cundiff. We had Cundiff.
We drafted Jake Elliott. We just let him go, which Eagles fans were. We picked we picked Fat Randy over keeping Jake Elliott, and that's what spiraled everything down this dark hole.
Cyclical. The less you commit to the kicker position, the better, because it's most likely you just gonna end up with the dude who kicks league average. It's pretty much like best case scenario for most teams. You just get a dude who kicks league average, and you don't trust him that much. So that's just what the kicker position is, man.
Let's pay some bills here. Tony, talk about it.
Of course. Let's talk about our friends over at Manscaped. You know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped. When it comes to below-the-waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from a bite-sized candy bar to a king-size candy bar and join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. But you got to use our promo code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word. Have you ever tried to trim your balls and it turned into a Freddy Krueger film? Well, luckily, Manscaped is here to save the day and make sure you're smelling fresh with their new refined body wash. Fellas, the ladies love their signature scent and it will scare away those vampires. Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. They've made it easy to upgrade your grooming routine. It's a full moon out there and the werewolf in your pants is howling. It's time to tackle that problem with the Lawnmower 4.0. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker, a total game changer to your men's hygiene arsenal. The Weed Whacker is a nose and ear hair trimmer that provides proprietary skin-safe technology that helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate areas. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations. Their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner will make sure your pumpkins stay fresh. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0. The Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort and boxers to another level. If you're looking like Wolverine and haven't cut your nails recently, be sure to look into the Shears 2.0 nail kit. They have a bunch of other life-changing products on their website, so be sure to check it all out. And remember, you can get 20% off and free shipping, but you have to use our promo code AFC North Talk. AFC North Talk, all one word. Go to manscaped.com.
Okay, so before we go to the Steelers again, let's just talk to hear some super chats here. Nova Storm 00 says Jack Doyle needs to be fine along with flopping. I mean, he will be fine for what he did to Tavon, but Tavon needs to be smart and not do what he did there for that personal foul. Professor Chaos says, hey, Q, do you know who hates special teams more than you? The head coach for the Chargers. Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate special teams. I hate how teams just like get lazy and start to rely on special teams way too much because then you're not playing football at some point.
Okay, and then we have Ian Whitaker here says Cardinals just put Chandler Jones on the COVID list. Well, isn't that interesting?
I don't even know who the Browns going to be playing at tackle this week, so that's good news.
Fox and Gaming says,
but wait, it's only 5 days now, right? Is it for a positive test? Is it 5 days or a week?
It depends on if he's vaccinated.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends if vaccinated. If he's vaccinated, he should be fine.
He can be back if he's over his case of COVID. Like, you still can't just come back after 5 days if you still got it.
Yeah,
even if he's vaccinated.
Yeah, so. Ferguson's been more than a week and still
really
out of COVID. Yeah. Been saying this. This is from the Fox and Gaming. Been saying this since last year. Scare Kevin is the worst Kevin. It would have been better if they would made that field goal. And I think I caught up, right?
Today. Browns fans are on one today.
Okay.
Well, I want to point out to people in chat, as if this happened on my channel too. I've worn this Canada hat a couple times, and people do not get the reference, which is hilarious to me. I am not Canadian. I am not from Canada. I've actually never been to Canada. This hat has nothing to do with the country of Canada. I'm not going to tell you what it has to do with. You can figure that out. We can get there. Okay. This hat does not have to do with the country of Canada. Okay.
Tony, but since you're talking, man,
to do with the 30th ranked offense in football, baby. Let's go.
Not after this week, Quincy, because they're back. All the way back. This Steeler offense, all the way back. You know, we talked on Thursday. We said, look, the Steelers have a chance to win this game. It's one of the few games, a bad football team right now, They were playing bad after Cincinnati. I mean, probably even worse offensively against Green Bay, especially Ben Roethlisberger. We talked about, okay, well, this is a bad football team, but they have a real chance to beat Denver. It's a home game. West Coast team coming east. The Broncos banged up, especially with Teddy coming in with the concussion. Would he play? Would he not? The wide receiving core and all of that. So I think Steeler fans came in like they knew they were going to win this game, or they had a chance to win this game. But I think the reason why Steeler fans are so excited today, the reason we're all kind of leaned up in our chairs, kind of, okay, wait, hold on a minute, is because this was different. This was a different win than we expected. We talked about this on Thursday. Defensive struggle. Vegas had the over-under at 39.5. It went down to 39, by the way, as the week went on. The Vegas just kept saying, nope, less points, less. But there's going to be actually less points in this game. These two offenses are just not good. And I think what is exciting for Steeler fans today is not just the offense played well, but that finally, and the reason why I'm wearing my Canada hat today is because everything we talked about in the offseason, all the changes that were going to happen to this offense to make it better than it was a year ago. Well, that's the version of the Steelers that we finally got. Najee goes over 100. The running game looked very good, and especially this offensive line, which has had some positive signs in weeks past, especially against the Packers. But the offensive line had what was, without a doubt, their best day. And Kevin Dotson played well, but I have to give a huge shout out here to a player who I have maligned relentlessly on this show, on every show I've ever been on. Chuks Okorafor has, without a doubt, been one of the worst offensive linemen over the past couple of years. But what he did against the Broncos, and he did this in his rookie year, actually, he did a very good job against Von Miller. Von Miller had, I believe, just 2 pressures in this game. And that was it. It's all he did in this game. The tackle he had, I believe, was a chase down of Chase Claypool down the sideline. Did a very good job. I think this is the most encouraging sign for the Steelers right now. I talked to Sonny, you and I talked on Thursday's show, and I said, one of the things that could be interesting about this team down the stretch is, hey, what happens if this offensive line really turns a corner and this thing can really get going the way we thought they would in the offseason, right? They can't become a real running team and they can limit their exposure to Ben Roethlisberger. In that way, maybe they could be a friskier team. I'm excited to see that happen in week 5. Now, obviously, consistency is going to be the key here. This was one game, okay? One game a year ago was that win over the Colts. In a stretch of terrible games, the Steelers managed to put together a very good performance in the second half against the Colts and won the division with that performance. But they weren't able to be consistent in that. I think the key here now for the Steelers is this is the winning formula. This is what we talked about all season. If this team can run the football, they can get Najee Harris going, they can run the ball more than they throw, limit your exposure to Ben Roethlisberger. Look, Ben can make some throws every once in a while. It was a nice throw down the middle to Chase Claypool for a touchdown. He stayed turnover free, even though, yes, there were a couple throws in this game where, a little bit of a head scratcher from Ben. But they scored on 5 of their 8 drives in this game, including their opening drive. And that's another thing I talked about is this team's starting fast. This is the second week in a row now. They've started fast. Again, as I said, the key there is going to be consistency. For the defensively, this was a dominant 3 quarters for this defense. For 3 quarters, they were lights out, absolutely lights out. Then the fourth quarter happened and the floodgates opened. I think Tomlin had a quote very early on in his career. He said, throw style points out the window. Steeler football is 60 minutes. I think he was just gaslighting us Steeler fans for games like this. So games like this happen where it just gets super close at the end. And we're like, okay, well, we lived through a billion of these. So what's another one? It was kind of concerning what happened at the end, how easily once the Broncos went into 4-down mode where they were getting that extra down, they didn't convert a lot of third downs, 2 of 12 on third down, but they converted 3 out of the 4 fourth downs in this game, and they were able to start moving the football. We got to talk about my boy James Pierre for a second, because this was the James Pierre game. This was the James Pierre performance. Got beat deep down the sideline. He did second time this year. Got beat deep. But this time, unlike last time, this time my boy responded. Good old 42 James Pierre. What did he have in this game? He had a game-saving tackle on Javonte Williams' long run. You know who made that tackle? My boy JP. He had on that last drive, he had a pass breakup in the corner, which nearly intercepted, not intercepted, maybe a little foreshadowing from James Pierre. And then who had the game winner at the end? Who came down with the final interception? Of course he did. Of course James Pierre did. Did love that. Did love this performance from James Pierre. Obviously, getting beat deep is not a good thing for James Pierre. Did like the way he bounced back. I do think from a coaching staff perspective, number one, what happened to Minkah Fitzpatrick being this kind of safety valve deep? I know they want to use him differently. He's not playing well this year, and they're not using him as that kind of deep safety anymore. And it's so easy now for teams. This is the second time that James Pierre's been one-on-one against a number 1 receiver on a team with only one good receiver on the roster. The Bengals went into that game a couple weeks back with no T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd in the slot. So your only outside receiver you're really worried about with the Bengals was Jamar Chase. And is it Joe Hayden, who the Steelers are paying $18 million a year covering? No, they left James Pierre out there. And the same thing in this game, right? Cortland Sutton, the only receiver you're really worried about in Denver, and it's so easy for them to scheme into let's just get our number one guy on James Pierre. But I did think James responded well in this game. Turned a corner a little bit. We'll see if he can grow from that. Juju's injury is a big part of this game. Look, it's a tough loss for the Steelers. It certainly is going to hurt this offense. He's not having a great statistical season, but there are some intangibles to what he does. Obviously, he's a very good blocker, and he's drawing a lot of double teams, especially on those third down, those money down situations. This teams know that Ben wants to go to Juju because he's the most reliable guy on this team. So they've been rolling coverage his way and bracketing him on pretty much every third down throughout the year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Steelers respond. I think there is, though, like a hidden upside to losing Juju, which is Chase Claypool and moving Chase Claypool into the slot. We saw that in this game. Claypool had a huge monster day and a monster day from the slot. One of the things about Chase Claypool is we talk about him as being this big physical receiver. He gets compared to Megatron because of his size and speed.
You have compared him to Megatron.
No, Steeler fans called him Mapletron. I mean, at the combine.
I thought you said you guys, like us. Like no,
Steeler fans have. I mean, Steeler fans. Well, and not just Steeler fans. The national media did this at the combine. They put up Chase Claypool's numbers alongside Megatron's numbers. Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who he has the size and speed of a Megatron, but what he is not the physical receiver that Megatron is. You think of Chase Claypool as this guy who's going to go up and moss guys on the sideline. That's not who he is. His contested catch rate right now is 38%. That is not good. In fact, it's the worst of any Steeler receiver who has a contested catch this year. So I think that he's kind of been miscast a little bit in that way. And I think right now, while he works on that part of his game about unlocking that physicality because he is a big guy, I think being in the slot's a much more advantageous position. He's going to get put up against linebackers or put up against smaller corners, these nickel corners, and Claypool's a very good player after the catch. I think this can be something for this offense, a little hidden upside here. Juju going down, obviously it hurts, but Claypool in the slot could be something nice to see. Now, one other thing I want to talk about today, the Mike Tomlin report. There was a report from Jay Glazer. He said Mike Tomlin wants Ben's successor to be a veteran quarterback. He's not looking to start over with a rookie. I will say this about that report. I'll just say this about that report. I know from my experience of being at Steelers training camp 2 years, Jay Glazer and Mike Tomlin are very, very close. If Jay Glazer is reporting something about Mike Tomlin, that is not a report. It is not a rumor. He did not hear it secondhand. Jay Glazer is reporting facts from Mike Tomlin. That's that is the case. So if Mike Tomlin is saying he wants a veteran quarterback next year, big Steeler fans, maybe stop looking at rookies. Start thinking about what veterans are going to be available next year because it seems like that's the way the Steelers. Fitzpatrick? Do you think Fitzpatrick still? He's like 45. He's like, I think realistic options. Realistic options here. You got Jimmy G. Obviously, I think Jimmy G is certainly an option. Or
please, I would prefer that.
Aaron Rodgers, people. Let's go. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, on Pat McAfee's show today, talking again about how much he loves the people of Pittsburgh. Weird.
Wait.
Weird.
Is Jameis going to be available in the offseason?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to let them go.
I wouldn't hate Jameis right now. Bridgewater's an option. Bridgewater's an option. Bridgewater's an option for sure. Who?
Trade for Darnold?
Darnold's going to get his 5th-year option now.
Is he?
He got it. I think he already
got it. Yeah, I think he got it.
He already got it?
Yeah.
I said trade for him, though.
Trade? What? Why? I don't think they're going to trade him, though.
They're going to trade him.
I think the Panthers are going to be bought in.
All in.
Yeah.
Someone said someone in chat said Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a sneaky one that I could actually see. Derek Carr is actually a sneaky one that I could see.
He ain't doing nothing.
Foles can't even beat out Andy Dalton at this point.
Yeah, they're QB3 over there.
He's underutilized. Last time Nick Foles was this underutilized, he only won a Super Bowl the year after. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Last time he was 3rd string practice squad guy and then came to another team, he won the Super Bowl.
Someone in chat said Matt Ryan, which for those of you who have followed me from Locked On Steelers, you understand how terrific that would be for my brand. If Matt Ryan became the Steelers quarterback, that would be probably the greatest thing since Duck actually turned into a good player. Matt Ryan on the Steelers.
Very liberally there.
Let me go through some super.
What was the Browns record against Duck?
What, 0-1?
What was the
Okay. Jake 0308-311 says Sunny SCG. How aware are you that Lamar's fumble will increase and lead to lost games during the rest of the season? Look, the reality is most of his fumble is him trying to extend the play for like an extra yard. That is coaching, and that's something that can be corrected. The fumble loss, and I will talk about this later, it was an unforced fumble. He was trying to move the ball and that was exactly what happened in the Raiders game. So that's something that they need to say, yo, when you're going down, protect the ball.
One hot take from that game. The second fumble, I think the guy got all ball. I don't think he touched Ben. I don't think he touched Lamar. I think he got all ball.
Yeah, but Lamar was touched before that. As he was going down, he put the knee, and then he was starting.
He was touched on the way down. Was he?
He was touched. He was down.
Yeah.
Because I thought the guy got all ball. I was surprised they didn't review that. But I guess maybe he got touched.
No, they did review it.
Well, no, they didn't review the second one. The second fumble they didn't review.
Yeah, they didn't. But yeah, as I remember, he was going down as somebody pushing down.
Gotcha.
And then the fumble came. The trip here says also time for Odell to join the Ravens queue. I don't know, man. I don't think.
Do we want to talk about it? Do we want to bring up the numbers real quick, or do we want to wait till the Browns?
Well, let's wait till the Browns.
Okay. All right. I have this.
I see Professor Chaos here says think the Steelers get David Carr or
Derek Carr, not David. Very different. Very different quarterbacks.
And Joshua Hunter here says when your QB is 90% of your offense, you're going to see some fumbles. This latest one was pretty fluky. Lamar legitimately thought he was down already. It's no excuse, but don't panic yet. Yeah, well, what you said is right there. It's no excuse.
And the other thing,
as he's going down, he needs to protect the ball because this has happened more than one.
You should be worried more about interceptions than fumbles, right? If Lamar's throwing interceptions, red flag. Fumbles, at least there's the fumble recovery luck, right? You should recover about 50% of your fumbles. So you know how many? You don't recover any of your thrown interceptions, right? 0% interception recoveries. So in that way, like a fumble is better than an interception.
Okay. Well, Ace, tell me, what do you thought about the Steelers game?
Yeah, I didn't get to get my take, but I had the Steelers winning this game coming into it because I just felt like there was no way that they were going to lose that many games. And this was a bounce back game for them. As Tony said, that offensive line stood tall against Von Miller in that pass rush. We finally have seen what we expected, I think, from almost week one with Najee Harris. He finally eclipsed 100 yards. I like what I saw from Tony's guy, my guy Benny Snell, 4.0 yards per carry. Just kidding. But Chase Claypool, I think, is definitely emerging here. And I think that we kind of saw some signs of it last season. And I think that he's obviously, with Juju going down, going to be a target monster. But I think that he is definitely going to become another dimension for this offense. I mean, he already was that, right? But I think that he's definitely going to take it to another level here. And I also think, getting that defense back grounded with TJ Watt back, they're starting to get back into shape. So I think that this was a big win for the Steelers. The biggest thing was that Big Ben didn't throw any interceptions. Now, there were some dropped ones, but he did not turn the ball over in this game. And so for the Steelers to try to fight and claw their way back, this was a game that they needed to win. I think that they took care of business. And, potentially, once we get to that preview show, I think Tony's going to be a little excited. I think Steelers fans are going to be a little excited. I think they got some life breathed back into them. But I think that they went out and handled business, and I kind of expected them to do that against a Broncos team.
Yeah, by the way, before I throw the Quincy, it was a clean sweep in the AFC North talk. Everybody picked the Steelers. Q, what do you thought about this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I expected. I think this is more of the case of the Steelers one not being as bad as everybody kind of jumped to once they went to 1-3. I know we were burying them on this show. I was always a little bit more hesitant than anybody else on this panel, I will point out, to bury them just because I know the Steelers that a little bit too well to know that they're dead now. But yeah, the Steelers were better than we thought. And I think, the Broncos were much, much worse than what their record indicated. Like, they have some real problems there. That defense doesn't look as good as it was hyped up to be when they beat the first, second, and third picks in the draft 1, 2, 3 in a row. They're starting to show some holes in that defense there. Yeah. And I said on this show, hey, Ben's probably gonna have one of those Ben performances where it doesn't look great on the QBR or whatever it is, but it's gonna look fine on paper, and they're probably gonna win this game here. Najee Harris, it's nice to see him get off, and it's nice to see that running game get off for Pittsburgh there too, because they've had so many problems with that offensive line early. So good win for Pittsburgh. They still look like a team that I'd be shocked if they only won 6 games. Like, I would honestly think they're probably going to be about 8 to 7 wins, maybe even more than that at this point. I know I picked them for 10 at the beginning of this season. 10 seems still a little bit hard to get to for them, but they're still going to be a serviceable team. They're not going to be one of those teams picking like the top 5 this year. So, good on Pittsburgh. You got to win here. Now, you're focusing on, still being a few games back from third and second place, but
consistency. They got to be consistent from this point. I mean, like, this is just one win.
Yeah.
So by the way, since Q mentioned QBR right now for the AFC North talk, but for the AFC North, we have Lamar first, Joe Burrow second, Mayfield, and Big Ben.
What are their numbers? What are the QBR?
61.7
for this week, or
is this QBR or passer rating? Because I screwed that up earlier in the season. Because ESPN has the QBR and NFL.com has passer rating.
This QBR.
Gotcha.
Passer rating is very fluky. I'm not a big
passer rating is just strictly based on, it's just a number.
It's just like completions and.
So Lamar Jackson 61.7, Joe Burrow 55.1, Baker Mayfield 43, Big Ben 41.6.
They're so bad in the AFC North. But Lamar's doesn't take into account running, right? QBR doesn't take into account running.
Yes, no, it takes into account everything. Game time, game situation.
Right
now, Lamar's eighth. Lamar's eighth in the league.
With 60? This is the opposite of last year. Remember last year where like everybody had 80 QBR?
Did they switch the model though? I mean, this is one of those things that Sonny was talking about last year. It was like I don't like the rating because they can just change it.
They switch the model all the time to adjust it.
Right.
If they don't release patch notes.
Yeah, what are the inputs? Right. What are the inputs that they're taking in?
Anyway, let me give you my take on the Steelers game. The Steelers, the offensive play for the Steelers team, it was exactly what you expect them to do for Big Ben, for an older quarterback. This is what we said that they needed to do. The question was always, is Ben capable of essentially saying, okay, here's the keys, I'm just going to be on the passenger seat, right? And which it would be better for him. Najee Harris should be 20-plus carries. It should be 20-plus carry, and then play action opens the game, and that's where Ben can put and hit the receiver, right? And this is the game plan that the Steelers need to be executing from week one. This is what Tony said the Canada game plan was going to be: running game, play action, hit the receiver, and it hadn't been coming to fruition until this week. Look, the Broncos were hobbling coming to this game. Again, I said there's 3 games that were going to be timing. This was the one that was tight because in the fourth quarter, as Tony was saying, the defense, I don't know what happened, to be honest. And it was, we're talking about 4th and goal, right? It was 4th and goal. They made it all the way to 1st and goal with like a minute left. And I was like, oof, the momentum has shifted to Denver. If Denver scores, I'm like, they might win because right now they have all the momentum. And Tony's boy, as he calls him, it was a bad throw. It was a bad throw because it was behind the receiver. It was essentially throw to him, but he made the play. He could have batted it down. It was 4th and goal, but still made the play, close the game.
Great players make great plays in big moments. Just saying.
I would say this: the defense for the Steelers right now looks like a mid-tier defense, like just below 10, around 10-ish.
Yeah, like B+, right? You give them like a B+.
Yeah. But we're talking from like an A team to like a BB+ right now. Okay, and that's consistently been from week 1 to now. The offense is the question with the Steelers going forward, because if the defense is always going to give you this consistently, it's what is the offense going to give you? Well, this is a good game for the offense. So obviously, they took the W.
Do you want to remind everyone before we move on the show, the Buffalo Bills by DVOA standards are on pace for, I believe they are the 7th greatest team that DVOA, Football Outsiders DVOA statistic has tracked. They track it all the way back to 1983. I don't know if anyone saw that today. And I just want to point out to everyone, the Steelers beat the Bills this year. So we just wanted to point that out real quick. Steelers beat the Bills.
Just because of that.
Tony was literally holding their funeral 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just saying. Steelers beat the Bills. Best win of the year of any team in the National Football League.
Okay, let's talk here. Let's go with Super Chat. And then I am mostly looking forward to the division games in the AFC North. They are going to be a bloodbath. Yeah, last year was too.
We've only had one so far, too. I mean, we're 5 weeks into the season. We've only had one.
I loved it. It was
and
amazing.
that was a boring game.
Which game was that? That one was amazing.
The Bengals spanked the Steelers in that game. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about.
Wait. And the Bengals beat the Steelers, who beat the Bills.
Oh, we're doing MMA math? Yeah.
And the Bengals lost to the Bears, who then lost to the Browns.
Right.
Best team in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns.
What is that website? Someone in chat will know this. There is a website where the guy does it. He puts together a circle of like every team, that's every other team. So you can do a circle. Yeah. There's a guy that does it. Someone in chat will know.
Okay, Q. The floor is yours to talk about the Browns.
Okay, yeah. So offensively for the Browns here, I think there were a lot of great individual efforts here. The run game came back. Nick Chubb was great. Kareem Hunt was great. I don't think anybody's going to argue against that. Nick Chubb looked a little bit better than Kareem Hunt in this game. You know what I mean? So,
I'll concede it. This week, I'll concede it. Yeah, I'll concede it.
That is that narrative that had popped up over the last
one
2
game.
weeks.
One game.
You know what I mean? Well, I mean, one game and then like Nick Chubb's entire career. But I think offensively, you got some great performances from your wide receivers. I thought Donovan Peoples-Jones had a strong game here. I thought you got a real strong game from David Njoku. I thought Baker played well, despite not having two of his starting tackles there. We'll talk about what that did to the play calling later on. But, my biggest gripe with this game was the play calling. On the offensive side of the ball, if I had to have anything. And I think it was fine for the most part. Just there were some key situations to where made me scratch my head a little bit. And that really wasn't until they got up by 2 points. I mean, they did a masterful job getting those extra points before halftime, right? They got that field goal because of the fumble, and they got touchdown right before it, being aggressive, gambling on a fourth down, scoring there. So you go up by 10 points almost, or like 9 or however it was, because it was scoregami. And then you get the ball back, and I think you either get a field goal or you score. Either way, you're up by like 14 points to pretty much start this second half. And you're in a really great spot because the play calling was great coming out of half, coming into half. But one thing we've noticed with this Browns team, and it is a thing, and we're just going to have to deal with the flack that comes with it, is every time they get a significant lead, the play calling goes from let's be fun and efficient and creative to run, 3rd and 19. Let's throw the ball, baby. Like, it becomes 3 yards in a cloud of dust in the NFL. It suffocates itself. I have coined this the prevent offense. They go into prevent offense, which is instead of playing to win the game, they're playing scared to death to not run enough clock off, or to get off the field too fast, or to create a turnover. And when you end up doing that, you end up messing up the flow of the game. Ace, I know you're a big basketball guy. I think this analogy will make a ton of sense. It's like when the Browns go up by in basketball, 2 point, it would be like a 15 to 20 point lead in basketball, right? And you got up that high because you had some dudes getting hot, right? You was on the pick and roll. You was throwing that thing up to Anthony Davis. He's on fire. And then you get up by 20 points. And then you just stop running all of that offense because you want to hold the ball, and then you want to set a screen last minute, and you want to disrupt the whole flow of the offense so you can kill clock because you're scared to death the other team's going to come back. And what happens when you do that? Your shooters get cold. Everybody gets out of rhythm. People start missing shots they shouldn't make. And then the defense gets sloppy, and it just snowballs on top of itself. And then all of a sudden you're in a close game again. That's what the Browns are doing right now. And that is not just a Kevin Stefanski problem, because I hear people going, oh, Alex Van Pelt, he should call plays. That's going to fix it. Did you not watch the Steelers game in a wild card last year and not see the same exact thing happen when it was Alex Van Pelt calling the plays? I mean, if it weren't for Tomlin outdoing the Browns when it comes to the scaredness and punting on 4th and 1, who knows what kind of embarrassment the Cleveland Browns could have had on their hands in that game, because we know it came down to that. And then they gave up when they threw a screenplay to Nick Chubb. Minka just wanted no parts of tackling him at that point, and you won that game. But it wasn't because the Browns did anything aggressive in that game with the play calling. And this is something they need to acknowledge and they need to fix. When they get a lead, the play calling becomes so scary, so afraid to not do the right analytical thing that you end up shooting yourself in the foot. And this is where analytics goes wrong, right? And when you think about this on paper, it makes sense. Oh, yeah, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to drain out clock. We're going to do the smart thing. But it doesn't work like that. Football is also a people business, and this is a people part of that. If you have players getting hot, you need to keep them hot. David Njoku had the game of his life. Didn't get a single red zone target. He had to score from 70 yards out. Didn't get a single red zone. How does that make sense? How do you not throw him up a couple 50-50 balls if he's playing that well? And he's played that well all year. I don't understand it. Odell Beckham, 3 targets. 3 targets. Some of that's on Baker because Baker's not targeting him enough. A lot of that's on Kevin Stefanski because you know what? The wide receivers in this offense all year have not been targeted enough. Donovan Peoples-Jones hasn't been targeted enough. Rashard Higgins hasn't been. Rashard Higgins is the only person who gets targeted in this offense. And Odell has not been targeted enough. He had the one game where they said, hey, we're going to give him 10 targets. And after that, he's had like 5 targets. You know what I mean? He dropped the 4th and 1. I get that. But 2 targets the rest of the game after that, when he's your best wide receiver by clearly leaps and bounds, makes absolutely no sense. Like, that makes 0 sense. I can't justify that. 3rd and 9, you run a draw play. A freaking draw play. A draw play. Like, there's no excusing this, by the way, because when Freddie Kitchens did this, we were ready to fire him in week 2. Okay, so there's no excusing a draw play on a critical 3rd and 9. Would it just save that much clock? Did it really help you at the end of the day? Like, what was the thinking there? Oh, we don't want to drain some clock, so we're going to run a draw play. Congratulations. You killed 20 seconds of clock that ended up biting you in the butt because you needed the 20 seconds at the end of the game. So it's this kind of stuff, the overthinking the clock management, the over-concernedness about what another team's going to do instead of just playing your game and riding the hot hand. Like, Baker was playing well today. Well, Baker was playing well. He coming off that freaking whatever everybody's talking about, the stupid shoulder thing. Oh, is that going to throw him off for the rest of the year? No, he's fine. He just had a really bad game the week before. He showed this week he's more than capable of playing NFL quarterback. So, like, the shoulder thing, I don't want to hear about it anymore. If he has another bad game, it ain't the shoulders just because he's not playing well. So, the only thing I can see that can justify some of this play calling is there is a lack of faith in that offensive line when you have James Hudson, who is like practice squad almost on the start of this year because he was playing really bad in the preseason. And Blake Hance is the left tackle right now, I think. Was it Blake Hance, who's a guard? So, yeah, you don't trust your tackle situation, but at the end of the day, the tackles were holding up. Joey Bosa didn't get a sack. So you should have trusted it. Like, you got to have bigger balls than this at the end of games, right? And this 2-minute drill at the end of the game, it makes no sense why it was called that way and why it was executed that way, given that I have literally never seen this team with Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield execute a 2-minute drill in such a horrid manner. Like, this is something the Browns are actually good at. They had the 1 interception versus the Chiefs at the end of the game. But if you look at that Bears game, the Texans game, a bunch of games last year, they were almost too good at it last year versus the Ravens because they scored too fast and allowed Lamar to go right back down the field in a minute. So the 2-minute drill is not an issue for Baker Mayfield. It's not an issue when it comes to play calling for Kevin Stefanski. It wasn't an issue against Chicago or the Texans because they had 2 excellent ones to end the half there. It was just a really horrid 2-minute drill for whatever reason. They're throwing underneath. They're not testing it deep until they absolutely have to. You have to attack deep early in those 2-minute drills like the Ravens did, right? Because that's when stuff's going to be open, especially when you have no timeouts. And they failed to do that. Kevin Stefanski came out on that 2-minute drill and called a scary-ass 2-minute drill. It was inexcusable because he was afraid to take a sack because he didn't have any timeouts. At that point, you just got to roll the dice and let your quarterback be your quarterback. So inexcusable stuff there. And by the way, no targets for Odell in that entire 2-minute drill. Like, stop using him as a decoy to the point where you just don't. He's decoying your offense. He's not even being a decoy for the defense. You're just decoying yourself if you have Odell out there. Imagine if the Bengals were like, yo, we got Jamar Chase out there, but we're not going to throw it to him. We're going to let the defense focus on him. Like, what is the point of having Odell on the field if you're not going to throw him the football? Like, if you're only going to use him as a decoy, that's completely useless, and it's an idiotic way to use him. And they need to make adjustments. And the good news with Kevin Stefanski, as much as I'm complaining about him, he's a second-year head coach. He has time. Well, he's young. He can adjust to this. Maybe this is a learning experience for him. He isn't already like set in his ways. Hopefully, right? You hope that as a young coach, there's some development there that he learns from. But yeah, like the way that they handle these leads, the way that they handled that specific 2-minute drill, and the way that they handled the game management of this game, awful, horrid, terrible, lost you the football game. We can talk about all these penalties, and the penalties were awful. The pass interference one was egregious because it was OPI. It wasn't DPI at all. But, bad calls happen. People were complaining to me all week about Myles Garrett getting held. Guess what, man? Myles Garrett's one of the best defensive players in football. He's going to get held. Like, that's just his life now. He's going to get held. They're not going to call it. It is what it is. That's going to be every single game. You're going to get gray hairs and have no voice at the end of the year if you complain every time Myles Garrett gets held, because it's going to have. How many times did TJ Watt get held, Tony? Every play.
Every play. James Harrison literally got held on 90% of his plays. Yeah.
It just is what it is. It is what it is with that, right? Like, you're just not going to get good calls some days. You're not going to get the call. But you had the opportunity to win this game. Defensively, have no idea. Like, I can't even be critical of it because I have no idea what went wrong in such a massive way in that back end that they forgot about Mike Williams in the fourth quarter. Mike Williams had like 100 yards going into the fourth quarter. They were like, we don't need to cover him. We're just going to let Mike Williams run wide open up the middle of the field. I have no idea what happened there. That needs to be explained. And even what I've seen of the All-22, it's still not explainable. So something like, I'm going to just chalk that one up to something weird going down. Like, I can't think an NFL offense, a defense that played that well for 2 weeks is that incompetent that just happens for no reason. The defense, it is what it is there. But let's not mince words. Like, I know the defense shouldn't have gave up 47 points, but we look at this offense as one that's capable of winning this kind of a shootout. And they didn't win this shootout, not because they didn't have players who were playing well. The players were playing well. They refused to play. They refused to call the type of game that is conducive to this environment. And give all the credit to the Chargers, by the way. Chargers are an excellent team. They had balls in this game. They went for it on a 4th and 5 on their own 20, and they went deep on that bad boy. Like, they play with a humongous pair of Manscaped shaved balls. Promo code AFC North talk. It was, they're consistently attacking downfield, shooting downfield. They didn't play scared, and that's why they got 47 points, because when they needed to press it downfield, they said, hey, maybe they might forget Mike Williams again. Let's just throw it up there and see what happens, and they were able to do it. The Browns, when it came to those situations, whether it's Baker, whether it's Kevin, whether it's Alex Van Pelt, whoever it is in that blame pie that you want to blame for them not attacking downfield, refuse to do it. And in that kind of game where you need to put up 50 points to win it, guess what? You need to have more balls, and you need to push the ball down the field more. Now, at the end of the day, this is a road loss on the West Coast in the early part of the season. This ain't the end of the year, guys. But, it's something that you hope to learn from, and you're going to have to turn around quick, because if you think 30 points is going to be enough to beat the Arizona Cardinals next week, I know I'm not a fan of Cliff Kingsbury, but they have been putting up a ton of points lately.
You're coming around.
Yeah. It's not going to be an easy day at the plate there next week offensively. So they need to figure out when, where, and how to get comfortable taking those shots at the end of games, because right now they have no go-to guy. They have no go-to play. They have go-to players. They don't have any go-to play that they feel comfortable with in those kind of situations, getting 20-yard chunks. And it makes no sense, because look at some of the 2-minute drills last year. They had go-to plays. Rashard Higgins, back shoulder. They did that against the Bengals twice. They did it against the Ravens twice. That's their go-to play there. Didn't go to it this week for whatever reason, right? David Njoku up the seam with a little jump ball in the end zone. Didn't go to it this week. Why aren't they trusting the stuff that worked? That's what's more upsetting to me. There is stuff that clearly has worked in the past with this team that they're not trusting, and it doesn't make sense, because the stuff has literally worked. Don't tell me Baker can't complete a 2-minute drill. I've seen him do it a ton of times. Like Cincinnati game last year, that's a big example, but there are more examples than just the Cincinnati game. Like there are multiple ones of him running a good 2-minute drill. So don't tell me it's not something he's capable of. Don't tell me that they're not capable of calling it. They're more than capable. They just failed to execute, and that's why they lost this football game.
You are muted, Sonny.
You are muted. I thought it was okay.
Go ahead, Q. If this is a question for you.
Yeah, do you think the Browns seriously need to think about what to do with Ward and his inability to be healthy? Is it risky to give him? Why are we? Denzel Ward actually played well last. Like that's the one guy on the secondary that played well. No, we don't need to like.
As soon as he went out, what happened after that?
Yeah, it just went boo boo to boo boo. You know what I mean? Like
who's 38 on the Browns?
That is AJ Green, a undrafted rookie from last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the kid from Oklahoma State, right?
Yeah.
I remember him. There was a Lamar Jackson. There was a Lamar Jackson corner in this draft class. So
yeah.
By the way, there was a play and I was very surprised that Herbert ran for a touchdown that he put your boy JOK on skate. I was like, what is JOK like got frozen. Like he looked at him like, what are you doing? And before he can react Herbert was ready.
This was not a great week for top players in the AFC North defensively because Jesse Bates also, I don't know if you guys saw, did Aaron Jones run the big one.
That was bad.
Jesse Bates having a good year, but that play,
that was JOK's welcome to the NFL moment right there. He had a good game other than that. Well, he had a decent game. I wouldn't call it good because the defense gave up 47 points. But he had his welcome to the NFL moment.
Tony, you have any idea for 268?
Oh yeah, UFC 268. I'm looking at the card. By the way, great card. Alex Pereira, the first fight on the main card. I've never heard of either of those guys. Frank Edgar is too old. He's losing for sure. Gaethje versus Chandler is a great fight. It's like a coin flip. I'll take Gaethje. Namajunas versus Zhang Weili, which is going to be the rematch. Is an unbelievable fight. I'll take Weili, and then Usman versus Covington, another great fight. Kamara Usman's too good. I'll take Usman in that fight.
Okay, and then
welcome to UFC talk.
Yeah, Rayson says Brown should move Ward while he still has value.
Yeah, do it right before the Bengals
move him,
game.
like trade him.
No, this is a thing with Browns fans where they just want to trade everybody. I remember it wasn't that long ago. It was like 3 weeks before Miles had 4.5 sacks. Somebody legitimately, like multiple people, legitimately hit me up. Was like, should the Browns trade Myles Garrett?
Yes.
I'm like,
yes, please.
The rest of the AFC
Browns
North
want Schobert back. I think the Steelers could part ways with Schobert for Denzel Ward.
Let's just, by the way, no suggestion on who we should trade for. So I'm assuming we should just trade all of our best players: Odell, Austin Hooper, David Njoku. Let's just trade them for draft picks down the line because we stink this year. We're just totally out of it. We can't win anything.
OBJ?
Right?
Should they trade OBJ yet, or are we? Where are we on the trade OBJ?
I think Tony, go ahead.
You want the stats?
Perfect time for the split.
Oh, is this your split?
Before we go with Ace.
It's a fun one. Let me make this bigger, and then I'll share my screen.
You gonna share the screen?
I'll share the screen. Of course, I'm gonna share the screen. Put this together. Thank you, Pro Football Reference, by the way, for helping me get these numbers.
Tony has had homework from last week.
That's right. Hold on 1 second. No, wait. Can I do window?
We ran out of time, guys.
Man, Tony, come on.
All right, I got it. I had to figure it out. All right, here we go.
Excel and everything.
Yeah. Oh, I had to download the spreadsheet here. All right. Here's what we got. Put this on this monitor so I can see it easier. All right. So we got with OBJ. This is with OBJ. So we got 60% completion percentage. Throws about 200 yards a game, a little over a touchdown, right? So close to 5% touchdown, 2% interception rate, 7% sacks. This is with OBJ. This is without OBJ. You can see the completion percentage goes way up. Wait,
sack did we go 4 points?
6 points, right? It was 60 to 66.
So
60
to 60.
Yards go way up without OBJ from 200 to 250. Sack number does go up though. No, sack number comes down. Sack number comes down. Interception ratio in half. Now, one thing about these numbers, and Quincy pointed this out. He said, listen, Tony, these numbers are going to get thrown off because of Freddie Kitchens. Okay. Freddie Kitchens screws all these numbers up. He skews everything. So I took those numbers out. These are without Freddie Kitchens. This is with Stefanski. This is OBJ's numbers only in Stefanski's offense, including Sunday's performance. Look
at that. Okay.
There's something to this. There is, and looking at these numbers, like there actually is something to this. OBJ in the offense makes Baker considerably worse in almost every metric.
I don't know how he makes him worse when he gets targeted 3 times a game.
It's
like I honestly like there is something to it at this point, but I don't know if it's between Baker and Odell as much as it is between Odell and this offense and Kevin Stefanski and how he calls.
I know
because the target numbers are weirdly low.
Yeah,
for a dude that's supposed to be, your best receiver.
Oh, that's the other thing I should point out: the yards per attempt are also way up without OBJ. 6.7 without it goes up to 8.
That makes no sense
without OBJ.
Interesting
numbers there. So, having said that, so
where's
now
Juju at? I'm gonna get my tablet out.
You need to come back with the numbers.
That sounds like a Kevin problem.
Are you ready to trade? By the way, can we put a poll in chat? Yeah, Are Browns fans? Are you ready to trade OBJ?
That sounds like a Kevin problem.
After seeing the numbers, are you ready? Maybe just bench him if you can't trade him, because honestly, who wants to trade a guy who's making your quarterback that bad? You ready to trade him?
Okay, Ace, take it over, man. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I think coming into this game, I picked the Browns to win this game. I felt like they'd be able to exploit that Chargers run defense. I think that they did that. However, you guys know that I've been, a huge Baker critic on this show, and I've talked about, Stefanski kind of playing it safe with Baker last year, and I actually thought that was the right move. I actually think that it was the wrong move in this case, right? Like, you're going to have doubters and stuff like that, the media, other fans and stuff like that. But as the head coach of Baker Mayfield, you have to at least show that you have trust in him to be able to go forward on certain things, play to win the game. The last 2-minute drive, the 2-minute drill drive that Quincy is talking about, they did not, I've never seen so many checkdowns and stuff like that in my life. They were playing scared. He was playing and calling plays like he wasn't confident in Baker's ability. And Baker wasn't having a bad game. As much as I rag on Baker, I thought that he played extremely well. I think that he bounced back, especially from the performance of last week. But this is something that's concerning because you have to either pick a lane and stay in it, or you're going to be who you are. And when I say that, it's either you're going to let Baker do his thing and let Baker cook in these games when you have high scoring games, or you're going to be the conservative person. You can't make it both. You kind of have to pick a lane and stay there. And so that was kind of weird because I really felt like the Browns were going to come out of this game with a win. I understand them trying to commit to the run, thinking that they could just completely run out of the clock. But when the bottom falls off of that defense, which is out of Baker's hands, 26 points in the fourth quarter is just unacceptable. And I understand that you had injuries with Denzel Ward and in the secondary. But as soon as that started to happen, Stefanski, you've got to take your shot. You've got to play to try to win the game. I didn't think that he did that from that facet. But 26 points, I mean, that's just kind of crazy. And to see a quarterback like Herbert that obviously has the command and trust of his coach to be able to kind of just let loose and do whatever, and you're seeing Baker kind of have his training wheels put on him late in the game, it just was really awkward and really weird. They've got to figure out which lane that they're going to pick to be in, and I think that if you're going to feel like Baker's your guy, this is the guy that you guys feel like is your franchise guy. As the head coach, you have to stand behind him. And whether he goes out and throws 2 interceptions like Joe Burrow did, you still have to stand behind him and know that in that moment that you're going to trust him and know that you have complete and utter confidence in him that he's going to win. I didn't see that in the fourth quarter, and it was honestly pretty strange. So I think if Stefanski gets that together, obviously that is something that they need to resolve. I thought David Njoku is looking like he might be the best tight end in Cleveland. I think that she found something there. The dump offs for him that I forget which play it was, but he took like a short pass and just took off on everybody for like a long touchdown. Yeah, like that nice dude looked like he was hitting another gear. And so I think that you got to get him more involved. Not saying that you haven't, because he's been a bigger factor this season, right? But I think that he is emerging in that offense. And OBJ, we've talked about this week after week. It just doesn't seem like it's a good fit. At this point, it's just not working out. With Jarvis Landry out, you would assume that the connection would be a lot better. There would be more targets, like Quincy is saying. And I feel that, right? Because in the Bengals game with Tyler Boyd, we didn't even target him until like the second half. I couldn't even imagine, having somebody like Quincy said, Jamar Chase, your number one receiver, and not targeting them at all in this game, in a high-end scoring game. So, they have to figure out what it's going to be. And I think that we have all kind of, I will say that when I say we, I mean Tony, I think Sonny and myself. I don't want to speak for all of us. We've all kind of noticed, like, when OBJ does go down, Baker does seem to kind of play better, and the offense does seem to play better. And, even in this game, it kind of was still kind of that situation, right? You put up 42 points with only giving OBJ that many targets. I saw a wild stat that was something like in the 22 or 20 plus odd games that OBJ has played with the Browns, he's only had 100 receiving yards one time. That is something that they've got to figure out. And if you're not going to get it from OBJ, is it going to be Schwartz? Is it going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones? Do you need to trade for another receiver? I'm not sure that they have to go that route per se, but they've got to get that production from somebody, at least until Landry gets back. I think now they've kind of found that in David Njoku. But I still think that they had a solid showing. I mean, to score 42 points, that is a feat. Like, the Bengals haven't gone and scored 30 this season. So to come off of that game that they had last week with Baker's performance and to play that how they did, I think they did a great job. Unfortunately, they collapsed there at the end. Hopefully, Joe Woods can get it together because, honestly, just 26 points in the fourth quarter, dog. I don't know if you could, like, injuries or not. You can't allow that many.
No, you can't. Points. That's a whole game's worth of points.
Yeah, you can't. You can't afford that. It's definitely not panic mode in Cleveland, though. They just got to figure some things out. Try to get through some of these injuries. Obviously, they had Clowney out this game, but hopefully going forward, they can get back healthy. And actually, I'm a Bengals fan. I don't want that, but if you're a Browns fan, hopefully you have some encouragement that they can keep it going.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk about this Browns game. Browns fans, let's chat for a little bit. Let's talk. I watched a lot of Brown stuff over the last 48 hours, as I am wont to do. Have not had a lot of free time, been used up watching as much Browns content as I can. First, I want to say this to Browns fans. Browns fans, find yourself someone who loves you as much as the Browns love blowing 2-score leads in the second half of big games because it's rough out there. So one thing that's been really fun. You guys ever watch on YouTube? You ever go on YouTube and watch the videos of, like, it's like a baby who's, like, wearing glasses for the first time and they have that, they can see. This warms your heart, right? That's me watching Browns fans realize how difficult it is to win. Not that they're a good team, like how difficult it is to win at the top end. I watched one Browns podcast. I'm going to forget which one it is. They spent the first half hour of the show complaining about how bad the officiating is in the National Football League.
Every team's got it, bro. Every team's got it. Every team has them.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Listen, this is why I have a deep-seated hatred of the National Football League, okay? And it goes back from watching my Steelers for the last 25 years, okay? Listen, officiating at the top end of this league is atrocious. It absolutely does change the outcome of games. I'm not sure in this one, though. I mean, that PI call was bad. Let's be honest. That PI call was horrifically bad. Yeah, but it did happen, like, with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. There were, like, 19 points scored after that point. And so...
And you ran a draw after that on fourth and 9. You know what I mean? Like,
and people are going to get on Stefanski like he made the worst coaching decision. I thought a sneaky bad coaching decision in this game was to run a play at the goal line by Brandon Staley when the Browns guys picked up Eckler and dragged him.
Yeah. I thought they were just going to kneel it out.
I did not understand.
Because Eckler had already given up the touchdown on the play before. Yeah. He had already given up the touchdown on the play before. I was like, why are they running another design run? I thought they were just going to kneel it out and then, trust a kicker and see how that goes. But nah, they decided to give the Browns a chance there.
The first thing you got to do in that moment is check Eckler's contract. Does he have an escalator when it comes to touchdowns scored? We saw this with Todd Gurley a couple years ago. Okay,
he legitimately stopped
like Todd Gurley. Remember when Todd Gurley?
No.
Oopsies.
No, I'm not talking about that play. If you go back to the play before, how he got to the goal line, he legitimately slid because he's like, I don't want to score. And then he was like, they ran the ball to me again. You have Justin Herbert's big ass out there. He's taking me. I didn't know why they did that, but
Yeah. Now, okay, the other thing I want to talk about in this game, you rarely, like, we get coach speak a lot from coaches, okay? You never really get to know what a coach really feels like, okay? In fact, one of the things I would love is to talk to Mike Tomlin about what happened at the end of the 2018 season for the Steelers, right? That was the year the Steelers lost 3 out of 4 down the stretch. That was the year that Antonio Brown went absolutely nuts. He turned on the team. He no-showed. They had to trade him that offseason. There was all this stuff about how bad a teammate Ben Roethlisberger had been the entire time. It's a Ben problem. Remember that offseason? Love to know from Mike Tomlin, like, what actually happened during that. Like, let's talk for real about what happened. With the Browns, right? We want to know, is Baker Mayfield the franchise quarterback? Like, we know that Baker Mayfield has passed the point of being like, is he a good quarterback? We know that Baker Mayfield can be a starter in this league. There's not a question about that. The question is, are we ready to start talking about Baker Mayfield in the same conversation as we talk about Lamar and Mahomes and Josh Allen? And I guess Justin Herbert's going to soon enter himself into that conversation. Or is he still that step below? And I think what you saw in this game, look, we'll never get a true answer from Stefanski, but I do think this is as close as we're ever going to get to an answer from Stefanski. The third and 9 draw play, boy, that is really damning for what this team, what he thinks about Baker Mayfield. Now, I will say this. I will give Stefanski an out. I'm not convinced that Baker Mayfield's 100% healthy. I'm not convinced of it. Yes, he did throw the ball down the field more. He was far more accurate in this game. But that last drive, the 2-minute drive, where it was just check down, they used a minute 10 to go like 20 yards. And a lot of those plays, I mean, yes, the couple in the hunt were checkdowns, but the one I believe was mesh. They ran mesh.
Yeah, they ran mesh.
Yes, they ran mesh. Again, I'm not sure. There's two things about that situation. One, Baker's arm is still screwed up, and Stefanski was worried about, Baker's being inaccurate and throwing a pick late in the game, and felt like we can get more run after catch. That's how we've been getting all of our yards in this game. I mean, Baker had 200 yards. 200 and something yards of Baker's was run after catch in this game. That's one way. The other way is that, Baker still has that thing, doesn't do a great job of reading a defense, and the Chargers do a very good job of playing that kind of too high. And this wasn't a situation where they were threatening to run the ball whatsoever. And so maybe Stefanski felt like, hey, listen, I just don't trust Baker to diagnose this defense and put the ball in the right spot. Either way, I'm with everyone here. I mean, I think Stefanski, you have to, at this point, the Browns don't have a choice, okay? You're at this level now where you are playing the elite of the elite, and you are playing well against those teams. And in fact, you are playing well enough that you have leads late in the game. You got to let this thing fly. We got to see who Baker Mayfield is. There's no protecting Baker. Stefanski does a great job of putting Baker in advantageous situations. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But this team is now at a point, okay, where they are as competitive as any team in the National Football League with anyone you're going to throw out there. There's not a team that's going to go out there and blow out the Cleveland Browns. Okay, the Browns have been in 2 games against top teams, and they have had 2 score leads in those games. And what the Browns have done this year is find ways to lose those football games. This team has to look within. As Quincy said, we are 5 games into the season. This thing is far, far from over, and this team will be very, very different 10 weeks from now than it is today. But they got to figure this out, because they can't go into games, like this, and at the end of the game, they turtle up, they shell up. We don't trust anybody. Hey, we're scared because our offensive line is hurt. And what if Baker gets pressure? And what if he does something stupid? You got to live with that, right? When you got a guy like this, when you got a situation like this, you live with the good, you live with the bad. And it feels like Stefanski wants to have it both ways, where he wants to be able to scheme everything right, but then in those big situations, let's shut it down. Let's just try to win, in a more scared fashion. And as we said with the Bengals earlier, like, you don't win playing scared in the National Football League.
Yeah. And Tony, I want to ask you this question here, because you brought up the point about that 3rd and 9 play call kind of being like an indictment or an answer. The thing that puzzles me about that 3rd and 9 more than anything is that is not a call they would have done at all last year. Only time I think they've done something similar, and this might add to your point, even though I don't really think he's that hurt to where it excuses the play calling. Is last year the game where Baker bruised his rib or hurt his rib, right, versus Indy? They did do a 3rd and 9 draw play with D'Ernest Johnson. He just got it, so nobody talked about it. So that might be it. But most of the time, here's what's like weird to me about the play calling and the difference from last year and this year is, last year, if you watch the Browns, whenever it was 3rd and long, it was automatic. They were going to be an empty. Baker was going to be relied upon to make a play. And to Baker's credit, he made a play most of the time in those situations. Like, that was one of the things I felt like really separated him from a Jimmy Garoppolo last year, was that you could rely on him on 3rd and 12. and 3rd and long. Here, it's a situation where they're trying to run to get to like a 4th and 5 and then get to a 4th and 5. And it's like, why did that change? You trusted him last year, but now that he's in the 2nd year of this offense, it seems like there's less trust. And that's why I'm like, maybe this has more to do with the offensive line, because I don't think like Baker hasn't played bad enough to where that trust would be eroded based on what he did on the field.
Well,
so I'm just trying to, it's one of those difficult things to figure out, because it's like, this is something that we have proof that they weren't doing last year, other than like one situation where you can argue he was injured. And like, if that's the case, if he's that injured where you have to throw a 3rd and 9, why is he on the field? And it's clearly not that kind of situation, because he didn't look that injured on Sunday. So I'm just questioning that whole the whole switch in offensive play call philosophy. It was a lot more aggressive last year, even when we're talking about them with the lead. And it seems like he's just become so scared of losing these games.
I think it might be a weight of expectation right there. Last year, house money. Browns were a bad team coming in and playing with house money. This year, they're not. This year, there's the weight of expectation. You're not playing with house money anymore. You are expected to go out there and win a bunch of games.
I don't know what you guys think, but not having Landry, we talk about the Ravens when Willie Snead was leaving the team. Willie Snead was that chain move, right? He was that guy, the 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. That's your guy, right? That's what the Ravens did last year. And that I always felt that was Landry, right? Landry is your dependable 8, 12-yard, 6-yard, 5-yard chain mover. Obviously, they don't have Landry. Who is taking that step for the Browns right now? Because it's not Austin Hooper, right?
It's closest would be Njoku or DPJ. But
the closest to that would be Higgins. Like, that's Higgins' role.
Okay.
Yeah, Higgins' role is that.
Like that.
Yeah, the thing with Higgins is that Higgins is one of those guys who's like a perfect off the bench wide receiver, because like you're going to get the same production from him if you give him 3 targets than you're going to get if you give him 10. Like he's going to give you the same production. So you can't really rely on him. Maybe Jarvis being out has something to do with it, but that's not really confidence inspiring if that's the case, right? If Jarvis has to be out there in order for your offensive coordinator to trust your quarterback. But something's changed there. I think, he just plays a little bit too afraid of something bad happening. And at this point in the game, last year, maybe you could get away with that. This year, you can't play like that, because a team like the Chargers are playing you like, we got to do everything possible to beat this team because they're very good. And that's why they won that game, because the Chargers were taking no risk. Once they went down 14, they got desperate and they started going for it every time. And that was the difference in the game, is that the Chargers were a lot more willing to take those risks than Kevin Stefanski was.
I wish that like fandom was flexible and that we could just switch, because I would just switch to be a Chargers fan right now. Like Brandon Staley and me and I see eye to eye on everything. The whole rant he had about pressures the other day, like he went up the charts for me of like favorite.
One thing I gotta ask you though, Tony. At the beginning of the season, I asked you a question. I said, would you take Justin Herbert or would you take Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah.
Have you changed your opinion on that yet?
For one season. All right, hold on. Let's just talk about Justin Herbert for a minute. Because I do think this is a massive derail, Ace, but I appreciate it. I think Justin Herbert's a little overrated. I do. I think he's a little overrated. I don't think he should be in the MVP conversation. I think Brandon Staley should definitely be in the coach of the year, and their offensive coordinator, if they have like an assistant of the year, he should be in there. Okay, you have to admit this. We've all watched 60 minutes of Herbert now. We've seen he's not that accurate. Some balls way off. Behind guys.
Been his
yes,
thing. Yep.
He's not a super accurate quarterback. And when we talk about Baker and all this run after catch, all the yards after catch in this game, all the schemed up stuff for him, go look up Justin Herbert's yards after catch in this very same performance when Herbert put up huge numbers, more than Baker. I think it was like 215 for Herbert and 200 for Baker. So they're scheming up just as much in that Chargers offense for Herbert as they are for Baker. I'm not ready to like anoint Herbert. Herbert's great. Don't get me wrong. Herbert's very good. But I'm not ready to anoint him yet as like this MVP caliber. Now, if you're asking me would I trade him right now for Ben, of course I would. What are we talking about? Ben has been 4 games of bad, 1 game of acceptable. So yeah, I would take Justin Herbert over that. Yes. Okay. All right, let's get to some super chats here. Angry Boss 83, I think you think that's what that is? Angry Boss 83A, $2 super chat. Really think Baker be paid more than Lamar or Allen. I don't think that's true. I think Lamar will be paid. Lamar is going to get like that number just keeps going up every week.
If his mama can negotiate the deal, though, that's a huge wild card in that situation.
That number it's like 60 at this point. It might get to 100 a year by the end of the season, depending on how good Lamar plays. Baker, though, I don't think he gets past. Which I can't believe
that report came out. The Ravens were going to offer him the same contract they gave Marlon Humphrey. So I was like, in what world do you get away with that? I don't care if his mama or him is negotiating that deal. No, he's going to get the money. Like, just give him the money. Yeah. Lamar's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL by then.
Yeah, not even close. It won't even be close.
He might be a 2-time MVP.
He's gonna crush Mahomes' record.
By the way, hey, somebody on this show told you he might be top 5 in passing and rushing, and it's holding up right now.
I think it's 8th and 5th right now, but you're very close. You're very, very close.
He's 8th in what, rushing or passing?
I think
because he's got to be top 5 in passing.
8th in rushing, 5th in passing, I think, right now.
Oh, yeah. Who would have thought, his rushing yards would be behind in that ranking, right? Everybody would have.
Well, the Ravens aren't a good running team anymore. They're not a good running team anymore. They did not run for 100 yards this week. Lost the record. You know who still has the record? Ooh, my boys. Michael Stone, $5 super chat here. Is it a bad idea? It is a bad idea to trade OBJ. He's relatively cheap, extremely talented, and the best receiver we have. We just need offensive adjustments. Michael, if only Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield felt the same way you do.
Does Kevin Stefanski believe in 50-50 balls? Like I think that's one of the bigger problems, right? Because a lot of Odell's use is like, of course you want to use him on slants and everything, but like a lot of the reason you have Odell on the field is because if there ain't nothing else, just throw that thing up to Odell, see if he can make a play on it. And that's something that has gone away from Baker Mayfield's playbook since Kevin Stefanski's gotten here. Because if we remember the Freddie Kitchens year in the 2019 year, you can say a lot about Baker Mayfield not allowing his wide receivers to get a chance at a football. That wasn't one of those criticisms that you had about him. He threw a lot of interceptions in pursuit of that goal to let a dude make a play. So I'm just like, you could bring some of it back, Kevin. Like, it don't got to go all the way away. You could throw some David Njoku in a 50-50 ball. I would love that idea. Let's just see what happens if you just toss it up to him every once in a while.
Anime Tree, a $3 super chat here. Appreciate that. Says Cleveland and the refs are in a fight for bad calls. Certainly, I think that
fan base in the league that thinks they get good calls.
None.
Like, doesn't New England even think the refs are going against them? And everybody thinks the refs are going for New England. Like, there's not a single fan base that thinks the refs are on the refs do go for New England, which tells me they're universally terrible. Like, you know what I mean?
Everyone in chat's pointing out that the Ravens and Steelers are tied for this record now, which no one cares. The Steelers had the record forever. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. The Ravens have it. Okay, no one's gonna remember. They didn't get it. Okay, they needed to put up a graphic. By the way, they made so much of a big deal in the pregame about the stupid record that no one cares about. Who cares about running the ball for 100 yards? Okay, this is a passing league. You know what? No one breaks any rushing records anymore because no one cares about running the football anymore. No one cared about this record. This is an invented thing, and they need to put a stat up at the end of the game when the clock hit 60. It should have said, Ravens do not break record. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. All right, here we go. Sonny, by the way, we have not heard.
Game and magnificent come from behind fashion, and that's what should pop up.
Yeah, exactly. It should pop up. Failure, absolute failure is what it should have said. All right, Sonny, let's get your take here. We haven't heard you on this Browns defeat.
I'm gonna be brief because we're gonna talk about the Ravens. I think the Browns. The play call is conservative, but it also, to be fair, they were having success with it, right? If anything, the biggest problem, and I don't want to repeat myself with what you guys were saying is, I mean, at the end of the game, I understand you've been conservative for most of the game, and you have big success with it, but it's called a 2-minute offense for a reason. You don't have that much time, and you need to score. So that's when they needed to push the ball a little bit more. And look, I can see the mesh play working if the guys were wide open, like if the Chargers were playing way back, right? And there was just a wide open and the guy you had, like the Ravens did that, right? In our 2-minute offense.
You needed like a field goal. Yeah.
Well, I think going 20 yards in a minute 10 was not ideal. I think we can
No, I agree. I guess my point is, for example, the Ravens, we'll talk about the Ravens soon, but Freeman got a lot of targets in one of the last drives because what the Colts did was they were playing so back. They were dumping into Freeman. Freeman was getting 15 yards, right? So, but that wasn't the case in that mesh play. There was just the Chargers were just playing just regular defense. They were playing prevent. So that's where you would think this is my time to attack the Chargers defense, and they didn't do that. I mean, Browns played a good game overall. I picked Chargers because it was a road game. Browns had the chance, but am I surprised about the outcome? No. Does that tell me the Browns are a bad team? No. This is just it was not a bad loss. It's more of an expected loss than anything. So
yeah, I guess if there's one issue for the Browns going forward now, it's like, okay, so the Browns have lost 2 games that you would say they should lose, right? They go on the road to an AFC contender. Okay, you're not expecting them to come out with 2-0 from those games. But I guess at some point, the Browns are going to start playing the easier part of this. You just don't want a team like this that has the expectations that they do. You don't want to drop the easy ones because you've already been dropping the more difficult ones. So it kind of, it makes the road a little more narrow going forward. All right, that's enough about the rest of the division. Let's talk about Monday Night Football. The luck of the chain continues. The Ravens came out, Sonny. It was
I want my love, Raven fans. I want my love. Send me some shit. Okay. I'm going to get a P.O. box so y'all can send me some shit because y'all been 4-0 since I got this man to bring the chain back out. Listen, and you can't tell me that chain ain't giving y'all the extra luck because in all 3 of them wins, y'all got some funky luck because of that chain. So I want my shit. Give me something.
Sonny, I'm not going to leak any text message that you sent us during the game. I'm not going to say any of that, but I will say you were feeling down at one point. So give me your thoughts today, now that the Ravens have come out victorious.
You know it, baby. We were coming to take this game. Look, let me say this. I'm going to disclose the text. I said to my guys here, like, I don't know if he can come back. I said, not because of Lamar Jackson, right? Hey, Tony can probably go and quote me. Not because of the offense. I said, this defense can't stop anything. Well, the good thing was the coaching for the Colts stopped themselves. We talk about playing conservative, right? Conservative football. Well, the Colts did just that at the end of the game. They did not win and got the game, and they knew they had a kicker problem. They went conservative. And the Ravens took advantage. Let's talk about the first half because the first half was bad for this Ravens offense and defense. I mean, the defense was bad throughout the game, but the Ravens offense, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't move the ball. It was punt. Well, more than punt. It was 3 and out, then punt. I think we got our first down that series, and then punt again. And thank God for my guy Odafe Owe. When he forces another sack fumble. I'm all in, by the way. I already ordered my jersey. I'll display it as soon as I get it. And by the way,
that might reverse the chain. That might reverse the chain.
Look out.
Q.
By the way, I bought a James Pierre jersey this week, so don't.
We both got something wrong because Rousseau's been playing really well for the Buffalo Bills.
No, I saw those clips. He didn't even get a tackle. He
had the interception.
But okay, I digress. I don't want to spend enough. But here, so if we don't get that fumble, and we're talking about two possessions just before the Ravens even scored. Yeah. The Ravens start this game on defense. Their first possession for the Colts, boom. The Ravens came hot. They stopped them. Second possession, I think they come up and bring them 5-yard loss. And then the third possession for the Colts, a swing pass on Taylor. And nobody wanted to tackle him. And then Jimmy Smith playing safety out of position, but Jimmy Smith over there, he sees Clark going in, right? And Jimmy Smith, for some reason, is like, oh, Clark, I'm the other safety. They're playing too deep. Let me just follow you. They both get sucked in on the right side. I'm thinking Taylor's like, holy shit, nobody's here. Let me just keep running. 75-yard touchdown for Jonathan Taylor. And then on the running side, they didn't really gash us up, but they were always getting good games. The first half was like, I don't know what happened. I think like they weren't ready. I mean, that's the only thing I can expect. But the Colts, they're only up by, 10-3, I think, by half. Might have been 13-3 by half. Second half comes, right? And the problem was in the second half, who had the ball first? The Colts. And to the credit of the Colts, they said, F this, we're going to attack them, right? Boom, boom, boom. I think it was 3 plays, boom, touchdown. And now it's 22-3. And I'm looking like shit. We didn't do nothing in this first half, right? Offensively. This defense ain't looking good. So even if the offense wakes up, what am I doing with this defense? But Lamar, obviously, in that next position, Hollywood Brown, boom, beautiful pass. And by the way, I can hear all AFC North fans, not named the Ravens, saying on Twitter and all this, Lamar can't come back. Lamar! He cannot come back. He can't. He's a running back. And for all you guys, I'm going to tell you, he threw the most yards in this game of all AFC North quarterbacks. So, but I digress. I don't. Lamar took this game over in the second half. Pass after pass. And look, Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews, 20 catches between both of them. Over 250. So both of them, shout out to both of them. Making plays. Hollywood Brown this year, I know he had the back game against the Lions. But other than that back game, he has been great this year. Deep pass, short pass. I mean, and then the other thing that I have, we don't talk enough, Sammy Watkins goes out. Again, Ravens' luck on the injuries has not been on our side. Sammy Watkins goes out, and then Ben Cleveland, the left guard, goes out. The O-line has been playing fairly well for being a patch O-line, right? We have a right guard playing right tackle, playing really good as a right tackle. Even Seidler had to leave this game for a little bit of time. He came back. Then we had a backup center playing on the right guard position because usually our guard, other right guard, is playing right tackle right now. So the Ravens are scrambling with O-line. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say, do I need to pull the split? I think I might need to pull Lamar's splits with and without Ronnie Stanley at this point.
Trade Ronnie Stanley?
Trade Ronnie Stanley.
Trade Ronnie Stanley?
Hey, listen.
Ronnie Stanley played a game. He didn't
play this one. I mean, this was...
you're 4-0 without Ronnie Stanley.
I'm not... Or
you're 4-0 since you let Andy cook. Since you let Big Andy go to that left side again, you've been undefeated.
Can we put a poll in chat? Should the Ravens trade Ronnie Stanley? Because
PFF.
It would save the money in the cap.
They need it for Lamar's contract at this point. The guy's going to go for $75 million a year at this point.
I don't know if it was but anyway, look. The reality is Lamar took this game over. He won the game, but also there was some luck involved, right? I mean, we cannot say because of the kicking situation of the Colts, that opened the door. That opened the door for the Ravens. They did make some field goals. It wasn't like they missed all the field goals, but big shout out to Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell made a couple great stops on the running side, and then also the block field goal. And also
he nearly blocked the second one.
I was gonna say, people talk about the guy missed the field goal, but if you looked at the play, if he kicks it right, like if he kicks it to the uprights, he's gonna get that field goal blocked. Yeah. But he hooks it to the left, as I'm assuming as he sees Calais is coming, he hooks it a little bit and he misses to the left. Calais Campbell had a great game. Anthony Aver had his toughest game. And to be honest, I don't even know if it was, I don't put all on Averett. They were playing him back. Obviously, they were concerned on Averett against Pearl Campbell's speed. So they were just giving cushion. And then with Pittman, also giving cushion. So basically, he was there in every play to make that play, but it was after a completion, right? So that's not a way to play corner because essentially you're just giving them the yards. You're just giving the yards, not a big play, but you're just giving them the yards. And last but not least, the only bad thing that Lamar did, in my opinion, was that fumble. And that fumble is a thing that does concern me because if you go back and see the Raiders game, it is the same type of fumble. He's trying to make that extra yard, right? That extra yard instead of just living for the next down. There was an unforced fumble. He passes it to the left hand. As he's passing it to the left hand, he's losing the ball. And I told the guys, and before we started the stream, if they call that down, then I don't think they can reverse the call. And if they call fumble, I saw it was like, it's a ban. You can call it either way, but whatever's called in the field, it was going to stand. I know Lamar said no. You need to be careful with the damn ball. That's it. Interception has not been a problem for Lamar this year. He had 2 against KC. And other than that, I think he had 1 He was throwing deep in one of the games. But other than that, he's been fairly clean on the interception side. It was definitely the fumbles, though. The fumbles. And all the fumbles have been minus the one sack at the end of the game with the Raiders. But the other fumbles, which is 3 more, have been him trying to extend the play. He needs to clean that up. Coach needs to be like, don't need that. Unless it's by the end of the game, if you fumble, whatever, you're just trying to get a touchdown, then you get it, right? In that 2-point conversion that he just was shy, he extended the ball. That's fine, because if you fumble, say whatever, nothing doesn't cost you anything, but not in a first and goal. But other than that, Lamar's passing was great. I think he was over 80%. Throwing more than 400 yards. He threw it deep. He threw it intermediate. He threw it short. And at the end of the game, so the stat will skew a little bit on the short passing side, because at the end of the game, after Lamar burned the Colts defense like 4 times between Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown for deep passes, they was leaving like 10 yards wide open.
Super soft. It was super soft.
Yeah, and I thought Lamar had a lot of room to run, but he didn't. Well, all he did was Freeman. Shout out to Freeman. He just kept throwing it to Freeman, and Freeman was 8 yards here, 12 yards here. I mean, and we drove the ball just by throwing it to Freeman, because all they were doing is like, I'm going to give you the underneath. And I'm like, it's more than 3 minutes to go with 1 timeout. It's not like, oh my God, there's no time. They're just trying to push the ball down. Lamar was smart. He took what the defense gave them. He was spectacular. He was sensational. I mean, I love again, other than the fumble, that second half of the Ravens offense was as good as you get. Defense, though, tackling keeps being an issue. Angles keep being an issue. Tony's boy has been – I do a segment after each game, good, bad, and ugly. Tony's boy has been in my ugly, I think, every week.
Not a great year. Not a great year for him.
So he's been bad.
Patrick Queen.
Yeah, he's been bad. But anyway.
Should have never changed his number. Should have never changed. 6 as a linebacker. I mean, he expected.
Ivy Pro Football Focus said he was worse as number 48, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, he's not been good. But hey, the Ravens. Again, I talk about early that there's 3. It's all about timing, and 3 teams had everything going for them to this game. Ravens was one of them. It shouldn't been as close as it was. We got squeaked by the luck. And for the Ravens, for example, I know people like to make excuses for injuries. At this point, our injuries are. We can use that excuse for the whole year. Colts were as banged up as we were, right? So both teams banged up. I think the Ravens got lucky, but they also won the game, right? I think both things are true. They got a little lucky that the kicker got hurt, and Indianapolis or the Colts were too conservative at the end of the game, playing for the field goal when the kicker was hurt, and obviously Lamar did his thing and took it over.
Do you feel at all? Look, I was on the other side of this last year, so I know how you're feeling right now. Do you feel at all like, this is a little Steelers 2020-ish, right? Like Quincy called it midseason with the Steelers. He said, like, look, this team is winning right now, but like there's a lot of stuff that can easily go wrong here. And then by the second half of the season, it all did.
Well, I think with the Ravens right now, offensively they look good, right? Offensively they look good, and they have shown that they can win by both running the ball and passing the ball. This is back-to-back weeks that a team says we're going to stop the run, and the Ravens go air it, right? And then with Kansas City, they said, we're going to just pound it, and that's how they won against Kansas City. The defense has been hot and cold. And that is a little bit more concerning, as how is this defensively? How are we going to approach teams defensively? So that's concerning. But offensively, I think the Ravens are top 5 in the league. It might have been top in the league offensively. Yeah. So I'm not as concerned, because the Steelers had the opposite, right? The Steelers defense was very good, and the offense was just squeaking by because the defense was so good. This is the other way around. The offense is producing. The defense sometimes comes up, and sometimes it doesn't. And again, shout out to Odafeo with two games with the timely fumbles. Even though this was in the first quarter, they were driving. I mean, So I can see what you're saying, but I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I've heard some people say it, and for me, I come back to the idea of like, look, you'd rather the Steelers last year had to rely so heavily on Ben Roethlisberger at 38 years of age. You'd much rather rely on Lamar Jackson right now. Like let's call it, let's call it like it is. Lamar Jackson right now, he's far and away better than Ben Roethlisberger was last year. So if you're going to rely on one guy like that to win a football game for you,
24 years old,
you'd like to have it. Ace, once again, not going to leak any chats from our text message thread last night, but you were very much, hurting after that Ravens win.
Oh yeah.
So give me your thoughts on this.
You made me laugh, by the way.
The funny thing is, I actually picked the Ravens to win this game, right? But after some things transpired on Sunday, I automatically was forced to have to hope that the Ravens lost that game. And once again, the Bengals got screwed by another kicker, on that Sunday. But the one thing that I will say is this Ravens team, man, the fact that weeks ago we thought that this team was in shambles, the way that they've come out and responded this season has just been completely not necessarily shocking, but I think it's rewarding for the Ravens fans, right? You got Lamar Jackson out here passing, and not only passing extremely well, defying some of those bad narratives about him. I've always been a fan of Lamar Jackson just from afar, ever since he was at Louisville, and watching him run through Florida State back in the day. I always felt like he was a decent passer. Thought that he got too much flack for that. But I like to see him doing well. Like to seeing the Ravens transform that offense into a passing offense, right? We talked about them being one-dimensional. People joked about them saying this is a Madden 2004 team. They've completely reversed that. And then the next laughingstock used to be their receivers, right? Their passing game or their lack of. And they've completely changed that. I mean, we used to get on Hollywood Brown on this show. He's completely transformed that. The one thing I also will say is I took a lot of flack for saying that Mark Andrews is in the neighborhood. Not that he's better, not that he's on the same level, but that he's in the neighborhood of Travis Kelce. Sonny, could you please let me know who's the leading tight end in receiving yards for this season?
I believe it's Mr. Mark Andrews.
It's Mr. Matt. Who's the number one PFF tight end right now?
It might be Mark Andrews. I'm not sure.
Yes, it's Mark Andrews.
So we compare. Wait. We compare where somebody stands at the end of week 5 over a whole career. Like this is what we doing right now.
Wait, no, so right now. This is why I feel like it's going to continue. The Ravens, when Mark Andrews was in that running offense, right? We talked about him getting 800 yards in a running offense. We talked about this, Sonny. Now the Ravens are a passing offense, and nobody can stop Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews might end the season with 1,000 yards. I do believe that, especially with the extra game. I think he's ending this season with 1,000 yards.
Bro.
He's fresh off of that new contract.
Hold on.
I think Mark Andrews is going to take his game to another level.
Wait. So we're out here like, Mark Andrews in the same neighborhood as Travis Kelce. Same neighborhood as Travis Kelce. Hold on, wait. We're saying that he's going to be on the same neighborhood as Travis Kelce because he might get 1,000 yards. Travis Kelce get like 1,500. What?
Wait, Kelce last year.
He's on pace right now to get 1,300. But
Travis Kelce's worst year better than Mark's best year right now.
I'm just saying. I think
Andrews. That's a different neighborhood right now. We got to wait.
The Darren Waller, who's the dude for the 49ers? I think he's in that. I think he's in that conversation. I think he is. I think Mark Andrews has definitely entered that conversation.
I think Andrews right now, look, if we're just going on what we've seen so far, ignore everything else about their careers. Second best tight end in the league. Second best tight end in the league.
Yeah. Shout out to Mark Andrews because I got killed after that show. So shout out to Mark Andrews. Appreciate you, but
you can take a big lap on that one.
In my notes app.
It's simply come back to it. Simply, the Ravens just won't die. I mean, I kind of feel bad for the Colts just because.
What's the time mark?
Watching Carson Wentz and everything that he's been through in Philadelphia, kind of being a castaway, he played well. I have to give it up to Carson Wentz. He played well. I also like what I saw from Paris Campbell. I went into this game thinking that the Ravens were just going to honestly destroy this team. And Jonathan Taylor and some of those weapons, Pittman, you can see that they're building something over there. But, man, that defense was just getting shredded against the Ravens offense late in that game. But, yeah, you got to tip your hat to the Ravens. I mean, they've had all of the injuries. They haven't let it be an excuse. Lamar Jackson has completely powered this team into the position that they are currently at right now, which is first in the North. He shows no signs of slowing down. And this team isn't a team, once again, that is oh, the Ravens have to get ahead of somebody they just proved that they don't have to do that anymore. I mean, they are a scary team. Like you have to tip your hat to them and say, who's going to be a team that can beat them. We'll have to see throughout the rest of the season, but you got to give credit where it's due with the Ravens.
Before I go here real quick, I will say this. I forgot to mention this, and I said it earlier. I'm running very low energy. It's actually right now 24 hours since I've been awake. And the Ravens, one thing that I admire was they could have just said, you know what, let's just chuck it. Next week we have a tough game. Put it in an L. Let's just work on the next thing. Nah, they said, nah, we're going to fight for this one. We're going to win it. And they just fought throughout the game and then took the W.
Okay, we got some super chats here. We got Angry Boss again, 83. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm just going to call him Angry Boss 83 from now on. $5 super chat. Browns fans tell me that Baker is greater than Lamar. Baker can't do what Lamar does for the Ravens. Lamar is the definition of an MVP. 90% of the offense yards. I mean, I do think, and Q touched on this before the season. This was his big bold prediction from the hot take. Maybe the only hot take of that show that's actually even coming close to fruition.
That Jamar Chase one ain't coming close. Hey, let me tell you one. That one is going straight in the garbage.
All of our hot takes that day maybe weren't the best, except yours, Q. You definitely came through on that one. Logan with another $5 super chat here. Appreciate that. Bengals and Steelers are pretenders. Bills want to face legit teams. Oh, Logan, are you a Bills fan? Do you know? Oh, listen, Logan, you might have missed week one. I'll give hey, DM me after this. I'll give you my Game Pass login. You also can watch that Bills game. You want to see great defense? You can watch that Bills game week one, dog.
It's back.
Joshua Hunter, $20 super chat here says, yeah, Ace, talk that talk. Of course, that's in reference to Mark Andrews being the second best tight end and potentially in the neighborhood of a Travis Kelce this year.
We'll see where this conversation is at the end of the year.
I will say this. Wait, Ace is muted.
Test one. Oh, Ace, you're muted.
I was gonna say he's got some property in there, dog.
Yeah,
he's in there.
I agree.
He's taking a stroll. He's like on a jog right now through Travis Kelce.
He's looking at some houses right now, exactly. But he ain't bought nothing yet.
He's not coming over with any housewarming gifts or trying to.
He's looking at apartments. My bad. He's looking at apartments in Travis Kelce's neighborhood.
I think there's two different things. I think Mark Andrews is probably playing at the best level of tight end through 5 weeks. Yes, right. I think that is correct. Can I say he's Travis Kelce? Well, Travis Kelce has done it for a while. It's the same thing that you're talking about with the kickers and Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker's been doing this thing for almost 10 years, right? So with Travis Kelce, I think it's 6-7 years that he's been the best tight end in the league. So Mark Andrews right now is elevating himself to where people are talking best tight end. Last year, people weren't talking still Mark Andrews. People were talking about Waller. People were talking about Kittle, and people were talking about Kelce. Well, now you have to say, is Kelce and Mark Andrews, there's a gap, and then the rest. Is Mark Andrews better than Kelce? Well, no, he has to show me 17 games.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say that he's better than Kelce. I'm just saying that.
You're just saying neighborhood.
But right now,
there's Travis Kelce,
not better.
By the way, I think we missed a super chat.
Did we? Okay. So
yeah, from Dog Pound.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
No, this one? No, we didn't.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do that. So Dog Pound, $2 super chat. Q, John Johnson III wore the green dot Sunday for the first time.
You need to get that shit up.
Wait, didn't Anthony Walker play in this game? though? He's back. Anthony Walker's back, wasn't he? I saw 4 out
Anthony
there.
Walker's not starting right now.
Yeah, you know why? Do you want to know why he's not starting? Do you want to know why he's not starting?
Because he's slow?
No, because he wears number 4. I mean, what is going on? It's a plague around the league right now with these terrible numbers on linebackers.
Yeah. Well, I think the green dot should go back to Malcolm Smith. That's just give it back to Malcolm Smith, because whatever happened with communication, man. If it was they switched the green dot, give that no. Can't have that happen. I am not about to get cooked by Cliff Kingsbury with 50 points and have to hear about that shit all week. No, get that green dot. I'm not ready for it. Okay.
Right. Well, Q, before we talk about Cliff Kingsbury, we'll do that on Thursday. I want to get your take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens win on Monday night.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. He is the best quarterback in the AFC North. I think right now he's playing the best out of any quarterback in the AFC right now because Pat Mahomes ain't been playing clean football. So that's where I'm at with it. Huh?
Josh Allen?
I would take Lamar over Josh Allen 10 times out of 10.
All right.
I would prefer Lamar over Josh Allen. That's just I like how Lamar plays better than Josh Allen. And I think that Lamar is a better player than Josh Allen. Josh Allen stands don't come at me because I ain't got time for y'all. But this was the rest of the AFC North talk crew during that game. Look, this was Ace. Ace was watching that game. He was up close to a screen. He was looking like this. And then this was us during overtime. This was
as soon as we got the coin, I was like, it's over. As soon as we got the overtime.
As soon as they ran that draw play to get that field goal, I was like, yeah, this is how they gonna go out like some suckers out here trusting their kicker. They got a timeout, 6 seconds left. You're not gonna throw that thing once at the end zone because you want to go out like a sucker, get 3 extra yards so he could miss it even worse.
And the dude had a hip injury. It's like, what are you?
It's the block for me. It was the block field goal. As soon as the block field goal happened, I knew okay, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, what can we expect out of a team that thought it was a good idea to trade for Carson Wentz? I don't even want to hear, Carson Wentz playing well. No, you traded for Carson Wentz after that season that he had. Traded positive assets for him. But no. Lamar Jackson is incredible. He is great. I know there are some Browns fans salty because a lot of people who cover the Browns have not given universal praise out of Baker Mayfield, but like Lamar coming out of this game has gotten universal praise. What are we supposed to do? Hate on Lamar because Baker didn't win the game on Sunday? Like, no, like Baker, he has areas where he needs to improve, but Lamar was fantastic in that game. He threw for 440 yards on 42 passing attempts. That's incredible numbers right there. 4 touchdowns. I mean, the heart and soul of that offense, he stepped it up to a new level. I was always wondering, has Lamar plateaued in his development as a pocket passer? Because he had jumped so much from his first year to his second year and his second year to his third year. And I was like, can he keep continuing to jump? He's at the point now to where I think he's really helping his wide receivers be a lot better in an offense to where it really ain't changed that much, right? Greg Roman's still Greg Roman. Like, ain't like they're helping him out as much as they have as you can. So, Lamar's doing his thing here. You can call him a running back. You can call him whatever you wish about Lamar Jackson, but you better call him one of the best quarterbacks in the AFC because it's the only title that's apropos for Lamar Jackson. He's that good. He's going to be a problem. Even when he's old, guys, he's going to be a problem. Okay, so just strap in. Lamar Jackson ain't going nowhere. This is not a 3-year, 4-year fad. We don't need to break down what defenses he played and, was it easier than this and that? Whenever Lamar has a good game. No, Lamar Jackson is excellent at football. He's going to do excellent things because he's an excellent football player. The difference between him and Baker right now, right, if you want to ask what the difference is that I don't think Raven fans have any doubt that if they need to get carried by Lamar Jackson, they can do that. There is no doubt in that. Browns fans, we have some doubt about if it's just Baker, can he carry the offense, right? We had that same question in the Jets game. They didn't win it. So that is a difference, right? When you have that guy, it does, and this is what makes them different than the Pittsburgh Steelers last year because, they're kind of stumbling around winning these games, but it's not super convincing. But the difference between this Ravens team and that Steelers team is that this Ravens team has Lamar Jackson, and that Steelers team didn't have anything close to Lamar Jackson. So when things broke down for that offense, it all broke down. But with Lamar, like the offense going to break down to a point, but you can not play a half, right? You can Thanos the first half and just snap it out of existence and not play football for that first half. Don't matter. Lamar comes back, brings you back into this game. He's an excellent quarterback. That's the only takeaway I can have from this game is that Lamar, really good at football. Ravens going to have some issues on defense. They're going to have some issues in that secondary until guys get healthy. But don't matter. They got Lamar, so they're going to win at least 12 football games. Like that's I know we made fun of Sonny for saying the floor is 13, right? A couple of weeks ago.
I said 12.
I said the floor. Yeah, what was it? You said the floor was like 10 12. Or 11. Was it 12?
Yeah, no, it was a high number.
The floor is not 12. Even today, I'll tell you, the floor is not 12. This team can.
That floor is 12. The floor is 12. In 17-game season, floor is 12. Unless Lamar gets hurt, the floor is 12.
No.
The floor is 12.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think it can go worse?
No, this team could easily go worse. This team could be a 10-win team. Yes.
I mean, you said that they're not going to make the playoffs. So.
I said this team. Well, I thought at the time
Tony,
that this could be like a 7. Don't do this to yourself. 7-win team. But now, obviously, I'm going to have to upgrade it a little bit. I'll go up to 10. Yeah, I think this is 10-7 is the floor.
Don't do this. I know what this is.
It's happening right now.
I did it last year.
It's happening. 10 wins is the floor. 10 wins is still good.
Yeah. Well, I think the floor is 12. I think Sonny's right about that. Lamar is really good at the footballs, and it don't matter what you can really do against him because he's gonna find a way to be good at it. So that's my takeaway. Lamar, really good football. Stop breathing down his neck every time he has a good game or bad game. Like, the man's really good football. He might win the MVP this year. And when he's not playing an AFC North team, he's not playing your squad. Hey, dude, it's okay to watch and enjoy the Lamar play. Like, I get you don't want to enjoy it when he's playing against your squad because that's not fun at all, right? When Lamar does that to us, because he's done it to the Browns like 5 times in his career. I understand why we don't enjoy doing it. But if you ain't betting against him, which stop betting against him. But just
want to point out, Steelers have never been on the other side of it. Lamar Jackson.
Yes. You haven't lost.
Excuse me. That game went to overtime against Duck Hodges, so that was not really exactly an ass whooping.
Big Ben hasn't lost. Big Ben.
Okay, so it's coming.
Was an ass whooping. Okay, Lamar Jackson took Duck Hodges overtime. Right? So I wasn't like we were coming out of that game. We're feeling real bad. Like, man, we really got our ass kicked by Lamar. Like, that was about Marlon Humphrey. So I'm just pointing it out. Just want to say. Anyway.
Okay, so where's the AFC North talk after the Ravens and the Steelers play each other?
They don't play till December. These two teams don't play till December.
Let me
one of the games is the last game of the year, week 18.
Make sure we promote that show. We might want to run ads for that show because
me versus Sonny is you and Ace are gonna have at it in week 8 or whatever that is, and then me and Sonny are gonna have at it, week like 19 or whatever it is this year. All right, let's get to some super chats here. Nova Storm, a $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Do you think Joe Burrow or Baker will ever win MVP?
No, Ace, I don't think either of those guys are MVP type quarterbacks. So
I think Joe Burrow can. I think
Joe Burrow can.
Not this year. Not in his career, yes.
I think it's gonna be hard for Joe Burrow to win the MVP in this division.
I will say this: they're both very young, so we'll see. I think.
The same age.
Well, meaning young in the league.
Yeah, Burrow is sneaky old, isn't he? He's like 24,
older
right?
than he's older than Kyler Murray or something like that. Right?
Yeah,
but I will say this: I think they potentially have. I think by now, Baker looks to me as a good quarterback. MVP. I think I'm lesser on Baker. I might be the same way on Burrow next year. Not saying the Baker's a bad quarterback. Is by now I see him for years that I think. He might get a little bit better, bigger steps to make the MVP jump. I'm not sure. In the case of Burrow, he's still very, very early in his career.
I would say both of those quarterbacks to me are kind of in that weird zone, or going to end up in that weird zone where it's like the Matt Ryan to Ben Roethlisberger zone, where it's like, you could, but it's going to be real. It's going to take a lot of things happening, right? Like with all the guys who are in offenses to put up big numbers at that position versus what you're doing or asked to do. It's just going to be very difficult for you to do it, right? It would take a bad year from Patrick Mahomes, a bad year from Lamar Jackson, a bad year from Justin Herbert. And this is just Josh Allen, like all these guys who are kind of just relied upon more to do more and have less around them than what Baker and what Joe has from a wide receiving standpoint.
And you haven't even mentioned what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like when he gets in black and gold. So, I mean, at that point, it's really going to be difficult for either of those guys. All right, we've got another super chat here. Colt Linder, a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Colt, remember, anyone can leave a super chat here. This is your chance to derail the show. We love hearing from you. Ravens fans want to say Baker has all this help, but 2 years ago, Ravens had literally 12 Pro Bowlers, which tied the record for most.
Colt, I'm about to call you out on this. You're a loyal listener of this show, and I think you also watch my channel as well. So I appreciate your support here, but I'm about to call you out on this. this is not the Ravens roster from 2 years ago. And also you look me dead in the eye when they out there running Latavius Murray from free agency and name me their offensive lineman and tell me they got tremendous help out there to the level of what Baker or anybody else has. Like it's you could say the wide receiving help has gotten better, and that's awesome. But like, let's not act like they got 12 Pro Bowlers on that offense right now.
On that offense, well, 12 Pro Bowlers it was total. From the offensive side was Stanley. He's still here, but he was hurt.
Yeah, but he's not good anymore.
And the best tight end in the NFL.
Yeah, so he's the only one active from that offense. And when Pat Ricard was a Pro Bowler, so the fullback was a Pro Bowler.
That don't count.
Well, but he's counting that as a total. And then we have Orlando Brown, and then we have Marshall Yanda. Obviously, he's not there either. So
it is. Does the kicker count too?
Well, out of the 12 Pro Bowler, yes, but I'm going offensively, right?
Does Tucker not score points?
Well, yes, but he's special teams.
Well, the kicker's usually the leading scorer. He's very important, Quincy.
Logan's back. $5 super chat. MVP goes to Josh Allen. Sorry, Lamar. I mean, Josh Allen's probably going to. That team ends up going 14 and
Lamar already got one.
What is it going to be? 14-3 this year or whatever.
Yeah.
Josh Allen probably does end up.
By the way, part of my prediction: Lamar's going to get robbed for that MVP. He's going to get robbed.
That's true.
And I think he's about to get robbed because the narrative is pointing towards Josh Allen, but it should be Lamar Jackson. It's going to be one of those years. It's going to be one of those years where this argument comes back for MVP. Well, if you take Lamar Jackson off the Ravens, they don't win that many games. You take Josh Allen, it's going to be one of those years where that argument comes back. It's going to be the basketball thing.
Angry Boss 83A, $2 super chat. Appreciate that. What contract should Baker and Burrow get? I think it's a little premature for Burrow because we're in year 2. Yeah. Baker,
I think the Dak Prescott deal, I think is what you're looking for Baker.
Yeah, like
what was that, 40, 43, 44?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Because Dak didn't get what Mahomes got, right?
Josh Allen. Where did Josh Allen get?
I think
Josh got like 45, right?
Yeah. So just a tad under that. Just a tad under that is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I think around 43, whatever 43, around there.
All right, we're going to wrap up here shortly. We got some more super chats to get to, but Ace, I know you got to run. Let people know where they can find your work before you go.
New Stripe City YouTube channel, New Stripe City on Twitter. You guys take it easy. Have a good night.
Yep. Good seeing you. All right. Let's get to some more super chats here. Tar Trip, $5 super chat. Love the Browns, but I hate Browns fans. They're always thinking the grass is greener, as if 20 years of that didn't show them. A lot of fan bases are that way. I would say the same thing about Steeler fans, who every year we go through this whole cycle of should the Steelers fire Mike Tomlin. It is a very silly thing, but
I can't wait for that to happen.
It's part of the stress that winning puts on your fan base is that you get people to say the most ridiculous things when you're like in that situation where you need to win. People just get stressed out and say stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay, we'll get to that in a second, Sonny. Colt Linder, $5 super chat. Lamar is a beast, and I'm just saying it's a double standard that Lamar never got help that Baker has ever. Okay, we're going to skip past it because we got a huge super chat that just came in, and we really appreciate it. I will say this about the help that Lamar is getting this year. I continue to be incredibly impressed with what I see from Hollywood Brown. I think he looks like a completely different receiver this year. That deep route that he ran, yes, it was a great ball from Lamar. Lamar did a good job of manipulating safeties, but again, Hollywood's doing a great job of running at safeties, and then the double moves that he can put on guys. I mean, he's so smooth in his route running now. There's no wasted motion there. If a guy makes a wrong move on Hollywood right now, he is gone.
Yeah, because to add to that, even the Lions game where he had a bad game because of the drops, it wasn't like he didn't get open. He got open. He just had to drop. So
yeah,
and that was the only game that he had that problem. He has been really good this year.
All right, let's go to the super chat here, and then we'll come back where it's Alec. I believe this is right. Alex C. Cincy, $200 super chat. Really appreciate this. This is probably too much. Burrow has only played in 15 NFL games so far. Why is anyone pretending we know what his ceiling is? And I definitely agree with this take. I do think we get a little ahead of ourselves on Burrow because we think about him in year 2. It's really not them. It's really it's like year 1.5 because he's had 2 off seasons. But he didn't play a full season last year. In fact, he barely even played a half.
To be fair, a couple things with Burrow. This is why I said that for me, Baker, it's almost you can see what Baker is. Burrow came into the league in a weird year where offseason was not a thing, right? So offseason was hard, and he played really good, but he got injured. also bad O-line. And we can see Baker first years with a bad O-line. Baker with a better O-line, play better. And that's true for any quarterback, right? As the Bengals are trying to revamp that O-line, we can see his play getting better. And like I said, it's hard to give it 2 more years, and then you can start seeing where the ceiling is. Burrow right now is good. Making bad throws for picks, that's going to be part of growing pains for a young rookie, or not rookie, but a young quarterback, right? It was bad timing when it happened. Although they got bailed by the kicker, but bad timing.
And I guess the last thing I'll say about this before we head out is the thing with Burrow that makes it hard to go like super high on his ceiling is he is fairly limited when it comes to his skill set. So, and what I mean by that is he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. He's mobile, but he's not Lamar or like not like a great athlete. He's bigger, but he's not huge. He's not Josh Allen. Like he has what would be determined, and this is probably why he didn't start at Ohio State over Dwayne Haskins. He just has fairly regular traits there physically as a quarterback. So it's hard to project that, right? It would be like kind of project what the ceiling of Tom Brady was in like year 2 or 3, because how the hell do you project that he's going to be that good, right? It's just hard, one of those things that's really, really difficult to project just because of his skill set and that he's not necessarily the most like twitchy guy in the world or doesn't have the biggest arm in the world. If he did have those things like a Josh Allen does or Patrick Mahomes, then, you know, people would be going through the moon with his potential. But since he doesn't, it's more about things you can't really see that are readily obviously available when you watch the games on the first glance. And that makes it harder to just say, hey, the ceiling is going to be super high on him. Doesn't mean that it won't be.
Yeah, and it's too bad we're having this discussion now that Ace is gone. But yeah, I do one thing I worry about with Burrow whenever I watch him is I keep coming back to, I think I said this last week, right? What is his defining trait? Right? What do you look at Joe Burrow and you go like, that's something that only very few quarterbacks can really do, right? What is that about Joe Burrow that there is? And again, I struggle with that. As I said last week, I think it's probably his smarts, right? That he's willing to check it down. He's not, you know, he's not trying to force balls that aren't there. I compared him a little bit. It's probably obviously way premature, but I did compare him last week to Tom Brady. But he does remind me in that way, right? Tom Brady made a living for himself early on in his career being check down guy, right? Everybody got so annoyed with Tom Brady because he was check down guy. All he did is check down and guys were running for catch. But he just was really, the thing about Tom Brady and the reason why he's played till he's 42, super smart, right? Cerebral quarterback. He understands what he's looking at always, and he always knows where the soft spot is, and he will take whatever you are going to give him. There's no need for him to force it. You know, Burrow, look, he's still super, super young. And so the interceptions are going to happen. That part of his game has to go away, though, because he doesn't have a cannon arm. He's not going to be, you know, doing cover 2 hole shots with a great safety out there and just fitting it in, right? That's not going to be his game. And let's be honest about that touchdown he threw to Jamar Chase today or the other day. Like, that should have been intercepted, right?
Or at least
yeah. So, yeah. And look, the Packers are a bad secondary, so I would attack them anyway. But I think that's one thing I worry about with Burrow is like, what is the long term? What is his defining trait? What is the thing that you're like, I'm going to lean on this? It has to be his smarts. I think it has to be his football intelligence. And that's why every time we see him like throw these really bonehead interceptions, I think it's probably more alarming than it would be for other quarterbacks who you're eventually going to be able to lean on some of their more, their better traits. All right. Thank you very much, everyone who has watched today. Before we go, by the way, I just want to make sure everyone likes the video on your way out today. And if you are not subscribed to AFC North Talk, make sure you do that. You'll be notified whenever we go live. We do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Our Thursday schedule may be changing a little bit coming up, so make sure you keep a watch on there. You can follow us on Twitter. That link, the Twitter is in the description. What's up, Kip?
Yeah. By the way, real quick, I'm not derailing the shot. I just want to get this in real quick. Tyler Heineke, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Terrible performance. He sucks. Get off the hive. Get off the hive and respect yourself. Now let's go home. Let's go home.
And mark that one down.
Have you ever? Are you listening? Damn.
Pockets